watching a B.A.S.S. presentation.
Good morning and welcome to Bassmaster Live. Welcome to South Carolina. Welcome to the St. Croix Bassmaster Open at the Santee Cooper Lakes, presented by 7 here in Clarendon County. South Carolina, what an incredible, legendary fishery. We are on today for the third open event, third St. Croix Bassmaster Open event of the season, the second in Division I. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. 10 are left out of our original field of 223. These 10 have pushed their way through, and Chad Grigsby, who guides here on this lake, showing some local knowledge there and flexing some local strength. So far today, he's already got a 5.5-pounder in the boat. Kyle Austin is our local angler there. Chad Grigsby has just overtaken him. We see now Kyle Austin having a great tournament as well. Another local angler, Ronnie McCoy, in third place. Laker Howell doing great here in South Carolina. We'll get to all of our top 10 in just a moment. Let's take you down to South Carolina. Let's take you down to, well, just above the low country here in the Santee Cooper Lakes, Lake Marion and Lake Moultrie. Lake Marion, of course, the inland sea, they call it, of South Carolina, 110,000 acres. As we look at our Unlock the Lake here at Lake Moultrie, also be some action there. Can't wait to get into all of it for you today. We're going to have a shortened day for you today, owing to weather. The weather's going to pass through, and the wind change could cause some adverse conditions for travel back to the takeoff, back to the check-in, of course, in the later part of the day. We're really looking forward, though, to some good, tough fishing for about 4.5, 5 hours and determine our third champion of the year in the St. Croix Bassmaster Open. So great to have you with us this morning. We're going to be here on Bassmaster.com. Welcome to Bassmaster Studios, sponsored by Marathon. I want to welcome our special guest here, the man who won here on the Elite Series last year, Luke Palmer. Terrific to have you here, about to fish your 5th Classic. You've qualified every year. That's pretty strong. We feel pretty lucky to have you here.
I don't know about lucky, Tom. It was, Santee was definitely a special place for me. You know, I mean, I was able to get my first win, like you said there, and so to get to come in here and talk about it, it kind of get to relive those memories and those good times.
Yeah, well, I want to watch some of that footage. Don't you want to watch that one anymore?
100%. I mean, he put on a clinic then, and he'll put on a clinic now, no doubt. And hopefully we see the 10 anglers on the final day put on a clinic out on Santee Cooper. Like you said, Tommy, a lot of thunderstorms, rain today, a little bit of wind. It's going to be bumpy no matter where you go, Lake Marion or Lake Moultrie, on your way or to and fro. But that afternoon, when that sun starts to peek out, maybe the clouds dissipate a little, that's when there's actual big concern. A bunch of wind's going to come in from a different direction, could make it a little rockier, and people thought maybe tornado warnings. But Hank Weldon has said we're going to end it about 90 minutes shorter than we would have, just to make sure we get in at least a day rather than canceling the whole thing.
Some sort of concerns about tornadoes. Of course, you always have that when you got a big system like that going through, but there's a look at the weather right now. There it is, sort of overlaid on our map, and yeah, it's pretty significant out there. There's going to be a good deal of moisture. These guys know how to deal with that, and of course, something they may catch them better than ever. You never know. They have been catching them great this week, though. Mike Such, 20-pound. This is the year, the 20-pound and 30-pound bag in bass fishing.
Yeah, you know it. Kyle Austin actually knocked out Scott Martin's 5th place all-time weight on day 2 with 31.8. By an ounce, he got him. There's a lot of home field advantage in these opens. You got Martin winning Okeechobee, Jeremiah Kindy winning on a Ouachita, his home, and Kyle Austin. He lives right down the road from Santee Cooper Lakes.
Absolutely. Well, we got 9 events for our EQ, our Elite Qualifying Division. That is a big project to tackle. That was seen earlier before the takeoff today. The takeoff is already completed, but we were able to talk to some of the anglers this morning and get a feel for how they're catching. We'll share that all with you as we go through this half hour on Bassmaster.com, and we'll take a very quick break, and come right back on FS1 for 3.5 hours. So it's going to be a lot to watch today.
It should be a great day, Tommy. I mean, we're talking about the opportunity of 30-pound bags. These guys took off about an hour ago was takeoff. It was slightly delayed than normal, so an hour ago was takeoff. We're going to catch them, and we'll be able to see the rest of their day unfold. And Kyle Austin said him and Ronnie McCoy are the 2 locals sitting at the top of the leaderboard, and they've been using that local knowledge for a couple key spots that they've gotten right early in the mornings.
So a little earlier today with Kyle Austin, our leader to start the day.
Definitely not your typical Santee Cooper look at all. No trees in the background.
me some of that. Look at that spinnerbait. It's gone. Started the day off with a little 5.5 pounder. Broke my rod, but it's okay. Give me some of that. 4 more. 4 more. Right there. I gotta tie this on.
We'll have to get in. We have all day, Tommy, to get into Kyle Austin, but he said the morning is key. The last few mornings he's gotten in there, caught his weight or most of his weight and gotten out of there, used the rest of his day in other places. We may see him stay a little bit longer today because there's only 10 and there's nothing to hold back if you want to make the Bassmaster Classic.
Kyle Austin got a good start down at Lake Okeechobee. How about a good start at Lake Okeechobee for this guy right here? Scott Martin, my goodness, what a year he's having on the Opens. This was also a little earlier.
Scott Martin obviously got a Bassmaster Classic berth already from his win, but he has to fish here. He has to fish at Lake Hartwell. Had a little issue with his mic this morning just because of the conditions were dealt weather-wise, but Scott obviously getting off to a good start. It seems like everybody's going to at least at minimum have somewhere around 20 pounds as their floor today. It's who is going to threaten 30 pounds that could maybe get this victory.
Told me he's not worrying about points. It may be the most fun tournament he's ever fished.
Yeah, already qualified for the Classic, as we said. Just got to fish the remainder of Division I. This is the part 2 of it right here. Scott Martin, what an incredible tournament down there. We looked at what he's caught so far, poundage-wise, and his average for the season on the Opens is just, it looks like a fake to me.
Average 30 pounds per day at Lake Okeechobee for the 3 days of that tournament, and then he's got 53 pounds and change after 2 days, so I'll take that average to the bank.
I think you would. Here's Matt Adams, also started good down at Okeechobee this year.
Stay on her, baby.
I don't think little fish live in Santee. I just think every time someone sets a hook, it's a 4+ pounder.
Well, you went there. Everybody figured they'd be post-spawn or skinny fish, and man, you nearly knocked out 100 pounds.
Yeah, we kind of got lucky on we got a little bit late spawn that year, and which those fish, it seems like we all said they only spawn in a 3-week period. You know, there is normally a big wave, but you know, good example, Fork. We went there my first year. I caught a 9-pounder off a bed, and we were there, middle of May, something like that.
Late April.
And they were already spawning in February with us there this year. So, I mean, the spawn can last so long on these lakes. And you know, there's fish out in the middle of Moultrie and Marion that they don't know that the water's 65 degrees up on the bank in February. You know, it's still 50 degrees out there. And then you got like where Kyle's fishing, those fish aren't even thinking about spawning yet. You know, they're still staging up. You know, I mean, they can push back to those flats either side of the canal there, and they can spawn there, but these fish are just sitting out there chewing right now.
Kyle mentioned that, Tommy. He said a little bit of current flow. They've been really letting the water go out of Moultrie and, you know, into the Cooper River and whatnot, and so they've had a lot of rain on Wednesday, and then obviously expecting rain today all day. So this water release schedule and the current flow has been huge for him every morning. He doesn't know how the afternoon would go because he hasn't stayed here that long. And
it's been a morning deal for him, hasn't it?
He really won't have an afternoon today, so he doesn't need to worry about it, I guess.
This thing's cut out for him.
Yeah.
He's a man on a mission, just finished 2 spots out in our EQ qualifying race last year, so he's ready to get some back here.
You can see how bumpy and how wavy it does get with the wind and...
Camera guy's going to have to work it today.
Sorry.
And it's a big one.
Switched it up.
The dreaded treble hooks.
Woo! 1 second, let me calm down. I think I just broke my boat in half, but I got it. Did it? I'm gonna get back out here real fast.
Where'd that tree? That tree snuck up on him. I didn't know there was a tree there, neither did he.
All of a sudden, he was living there.
Oh, that was chaos.
It is blowing down there, though, ain't it?
They said the wind and how much current they're putting through some of these places. It's a lot more than you'd imagine it would be.
They've had a lot of rain in recent days, so already got a 5.5 in the boat. That's gonna.
How about that one, number 2? Had to get a little closer up towards the bank to catch this one. We just need 3 more bites to give us a shot at the Bassmaster Classic. And if you can't tell, I'm a little fired up. Let's go. Number 2.
We can tell, and we'll be reminding you all day long, the winner here gains access to the Bassmaster Classic,
I'm flooding the back of the boat on accident.
provided he fishes all of Division I. That's the only requirement there.
Oh yeah, and he's one of the
He's an EQer all the way.
EQ guy,
Yeah.
and honestly, it would be right up his alley. Ray Roberts in March,
Oh, yeah.
like he would feel right at home, like he does here at Santee a little bit. And Kyle's really one of those guys. He almost, I'm not gonna say he almost gave up on the opens, but coming so close last year, such a gauntlet of 9 events, it's heartbreaking when you fall short of that. And so he wasn't quite sure his outlook on how long he was gonna do it. And then he sees Santee Cooper pop up on the schedule. He's like, well, I'm no doubt in this year, but we'll see. And so maybe he can knock it out this year and be in the Elite Series for years to come. But really using a lot of good wisdom. It's hard for a local to balance that historical, Luke, if you were to go to a Eufaula, Oklahoma, or a Texoma, how do you balance the historical and things like that? And for him being as young as he is, but as much time on Santee, he has balanced that very well. How do I fish the moment? How do I also use some of those key knowledge things that I've learned for years?
Well, kind of knowing a backdoor spot like this, and there's 220 anglers out there, that makes a big difference. It allows him to have something to himself where, the Rock Pond area where Scott's at and Potato Creek, there's going to be boats everywhere. So having something to by himself, that's huge.
Well, it's certainly worked out that way throughout this entire open season so far. I mean, separating yourself from 223 guys, you about got to have something special, something personal, right?
Oh, it's tough, and these guys are so good anymore. It's not like, 15, 20, 30 guys in there. You got 160 or 70 EQ guys. I mean, that's a bunch of guys to be able to get into it and really get it figured out.
I kind of scared myself, I ain't gonna lie to you.
Listening to Laker Howell in the bottom left, if you know that name, Tommy, that is the son of a Bassmaster Classic champion. We've seen him grow up before our eyes. A young little kid, and he said, college fishing's great, but when I got out of high school, I just wanted to test myself on a regional and national level. And he said, I've had enough success the last year or two that I said, I'm going to try the opens to try to make the Elite Series. That's what I want to do. I want to fish the Classic. I want to fish the Elite Series, and I want to prove that I can do it, and not just my name carries weight for other reasons. And
Randy Howell is who you're referring to as his
yes.
dad, of course, the 2014 champion there at Guntersville, where the family lives now, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to see Laker out here and doing so well.
Is he down in the hatchery? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Get our first look at Dakota Ebear. Certainly carved out a place for himself in the world of bass fishing over the past 3 or 4 years.
Last one to sign up for all 9 opens. He did so 2 weeks before Okeechobee. Said, I want to change my career path and make the Classic, make the Elite Series. And boy, after 3 events, Tommy, he is second in EQ points, exactly where we thought he'd probably be at some point in the season.
31st at Okeechobee and 13th at Lake Washita.
That's the male.
Dakota, a product of the College Series, fished for Carleton State there in Texas. He makes his hay around the Sam Rayburn region.
Take a look at Matt Messer, winner last year. The St. Croix Bassmaster Opens.
Gosh, it's a good one too. Please stay on there. Come on, big girl. Come get in this boat, please.
Luke gets to eye up one of his competitors at the Bassmaster
That's
Classic
right.
this year.
Easy now. Easy now. Easy, baby. Stay down. Don't do that jumping. Gosh, that's a big one.
Oh,
Come on.
I'm really kind of wishing I'd have
Come
signed
on,
up for
big
Santee. Like I'm missing out. Everybody's like, why aren't you going? I said, if the Classic wasn't the next week practice, I said, you bet I'd been down there. Because I just enjoy
Lord,
fishing the
these
lake.
things
You know,
are
some
strong.
places you just connect with, and I've had a good tournament every time I've been there, so I'd probably bomb this one, you know. So
Lord,
that's an 8-pounder.
too
Right
much. Come here and open your mouth. How's that to start today? Number one's out of the way, baby. Let's go.
Number 1.5.
No
that's
joke.
a fish
That's-
and a fish and a half for a normal limit. Hey, we saw him get off to a good start on that final day at the Harris
Choked
Chain
it
when he
too.
ended up winning
Yeah.
it, Tommy,
Yeah.
on Bassmaster Live, and so this could bode well for him.
Dangerous creature for sure. He also with a good start, 34th place down at Okeechobee. Get things on track, but yeah, he's got that Classic on his mind. How can you not have? It starts 2 weeks from today, fishing starts. So think about that, Luke Palmer.
I'm ready. I
think
am,
you
I am
already
more
have.
than ready.
That's the unofficial leaderboard. Kyle Austin on top, Matt Messer, Scott Martin, Chad Grigsby, Ronnie McCoy, and so forth. We'll take a break, and we'll come right back. Welcome back to Santee Cooper Lakes, a place of legends. How about a legendary performance last year, 2023? This was you, Luke Palmer. What a week.
There was things that could go right, and they went really right that week. I mean, I had some hiccups on day one that I almost could have derailed the whole tournament for me. But everything worked out, and I got to crack them rods and falcon rods and do some damage that week.
26-3 on day 3 and 25-15 on day 4. And only angler to catch a limit every day in that tournament.
That was pretty wild. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, just in general, no matter who done it, you don't think just catching limits that hard. I mean, how hard is it to catch 5 fish a day?
Yeah, Santee
And
Cooper.
it was a grind. I think on the final day, I don't think I caught but 7 or 8 keepers. You know, it was, and day 2 or day 3, I didn't have but 5 or 6. I mean, it wasn't just, it looked like we just absolutely destroyed them, but it was just, like I said, every time we swing the rod, it was a big one.
Oh, man. Already had a top 5 finish there in your elite career, and just, man, what a capper. This one was your first blue trophy, and I'm sure not the last.
I hope not.
Well, we're just kind of getting started, getting our feet wet today. Everybody's getting their feet wet out on the water today and every other part of their body. But how are you going to separate yourself from these 10 really good anglers out there and win the trophy this time around, if you were out there?
Oh, man, I don't know. You know, the lake has changed so much even from when we were there last year. The grass is coming back. Moultrie's playing. It hasn't ever really played as much. I guess there was a few guys down there last year. I know Matt Robertson was down there.
Yeah, he had the big bag of the tournament down there first day.
So it's changing a lot. You know, I think if the water level wouldn't have fell out last year, things could have changed drastically, because, I mean, even in my areas, the water, you would get close to the rim canal and it would like start pulling you down through it. So I don't know. I don't know what you'd have to do here. These guys are, I mean, it's not saying you kind of get lucky, but you need to run across a special tree or two for it to get big for you.
Yeah, you think about Wednesday's practice day, the final half day that they had out there. It was pouring down rain like this, and then the last 2 days have been beautiful. They've been able to sight fish, and now your visibility is not there, so you're either going to have to know where those fish were, or you're going to have another program like Kyle Austin has with this current flow.
Kind of looking for keeper number 3. He's already got a 7.5 pound advantage over second place Matt Messer.
The top 10's a lot closer in this week than it was at Okeechobee.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, there's not a...
Or even the event you won. The deal is anybody can pop a 30-pound bag this week. I mean, it just seems like whether they're spawning or pre-spawn, you catch them coming or going. A lot of anglers are talking about the ceiling that Moultrie has. You can catch 30-plus pounds there pretty easy, but you can bomb as well if that water level changed. It looks right now it's still okay for some.
Gosh, grabbing that line. That's scary.
Let's go. It's miserable out here, but we're still catching fish. Woo! I am turned up.
When things are going your way, it's a lot easier. It doesn't, the weather conditions don't bother you as bad when you're catching them.
Third keeper for Kyle Austin. Let's get back to Dakota Ebert.
Looks like he's done something very similar to what I did.
Said he caught the male there a few minutes ago.
I can't see. My hood was in the way and I couldn't even see her. Look at the hook fell out. Oh, thank you, Lord. I literally, like, my hood was over my eye and I just reached and I fell. Thank you, Lord. Look at that big, beautiful thing. Oh, thank you, God. God is good.
There's definitely a lot more fish catches going on here
Man,
than there was
yesterday I
our
was
final
sitting in the
day.
way.
Oh, no doubt about it. The same kind of conditions, though.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
storm in the morning was the X
I was kind
factor.
of bummed out knowing I had 22 pounds, might not make the cut. And the co-angler in front of me, and look, I should know this, but I don't know the verse to the T, but he said, you know, today was a good day. You know, he said, could have been better, but today's the day the Lord was giving us, you know. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, man, here I am complaining because 22 pounds in my head. And I'm so blessed. Here we are out today in the rain, storms, everything else. Man, what else could a guy ask for, dude? Fishing for a living, living my dream. On FS1 this morning for the first time. Man, I'm just so thankful. I'm thankful for everything and all the people that helped me get here, honestly. Yeah.
Great attitude to have, Tommy.
Oh, man.
Dakota's one to watch. We're a third of the way through the open season, but the rest of the year we will see him once again.
He is right in the middle of this one right now. Almost a 6-pounder there to pull himself right up behind Kyle Austin. Kyle still with a good advantage there. Matt Messer, we saw him catch a good one. Scott Martin and Grigsby as well. What are we going to see from Evan Kung, who's our points leader, unofficially coming in here? We'll be with him today. Also looking in at another local, Ronnie McCoy, Laker Howell. Has yet to put his first one in the boat. Matt Adams, whom we saw, spent some time with down at Okeechobee. And Parker Guy, yet another South Carolina. So think about this. We're going to, top of the hour, we're going to take you right over to FS1, Fox Sports 1 from here at Bassmaster.com. And that coverage will continue for 3.5 hours of the St. Croix Bassmaster Open from the Santee Cooper Lakes, presented by 7. So we look forward to bringing you Bassmaster live over there for a good long time. I think we got some good signs. Of, might be some fish catching going on. So
They're going to catch them.
we
We're
got
going to be
some
all right.
recent speed. Luke and all the rest will be back here, and we'll see you at 8.
You're watching a Fox Sports presentation of B.A.S.S.
Welcome to Bassmaster Live. I think we got a good one for you today. Here's an indication of what's going on out there on the lake, the Santee Cooper Lakes. Here in Clarendon County, South Carolina, the third St. Croix Bassmaster Open of the year. We are down to 10 anglers on this final day. The weather, as you can see, is, well, it's not what you call Chamber of Commerce weather, but it's good fishing weather, obviously, because they are catching them early out there today on Championship Saturday. So great to have you with us. We got a lot of coverage coming your way. And we have had some terrific tournaments so far. Started out at Lake Okeechobee. The man in the upper right there just blew away the field down there. Had one of the greatest tournaments ever witnessed in the Open's history. Scott Martin, he's in our top 10 today. Kyle Austin, top left, is our tournament leader, unofficially as it stands right now. And he started the day with the lead. He is a local with some special knowledge of this area. Very dangerous man out there. We'll be with him all day long. Matt Messer of Kentucky, he's in the top 10. We saw him catch that big one a little bit earlier today.
Number one's out of the way, baby.
And Matt Adams, another giant coming up. Man, we are in the land of the giants. Legendary for big, big bass, especially during the special few weeks of the year. Let's take you down to the Santee Cooper Lakes, Clarendon County, South Carolina, going out of the fabulous John C. Land Sport Fishing Facility here. And start out with 223 anglers, I believe, pros, trying to make it here. most of them part of the EQ Elite qualifying track to try to get into the Bassmaster Elite Series. And only 10 have survived to this day, so they have done something special. These 10 we are going to be watching all day long. There's our kickoff there. There's the John Land facility. Now we're going to have a shorter day for you today. They're going to wrap it up at 1 o'clock rather than 2:30. That's check-in time today, owing to the weather going through and looking for some big, heavy winds, which will be a hindrance to people trying to get back to the takeoff later today. So everyone's fishing with a little sense of urgency. I think we got a sense of urgency here in the Bassmaster Studio, sponsored by Marathon, because they're catching them so well. I want to introduce you to our special analyst today, and I mean special. He won the last time the Bassmaster Elite Series anglers were here last year. Luke Palmer of Oklahoma. Luke, great career so far. You're getting ready to fish your 5th Classic. We're lucky to have you.
You know, Tommy, I'm glad to be here. You know, I love coming down here and seeing you guys and getting to get in the middle of this.
Well, we love it too.
Get to see the real things that go on behind the scenes. So getting to see all these guys just absolutely smashing them at Santee kind of gets me to go back to those special memories of there last year.
Well, if it ever gets slow, we got some good footage to look at too, right, Ronnie?
No doubt about it. 25, 30-pound bags. It seems like 2024 is the year of the 20-pound bag, where it doesn't mean anything, Tommy, because we've seen some of the biggest weights we've ever seen. But like you said, today it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period. We have big thunderstorms this morning, a lot of rain, and then the wind is coming from the southeast. It may change this afternoon, and that is why Hank Weldon said, hey, instead of canceling the whole day, it's going to be bumpy, but we're going to send you out there. But before it gets bad, we're going to bring them back a little bit earlier than normal.
Mike Such-Sukon is here with us. And Such, I know you're always watching those 20-pounders. We had 49 20-pound bags on day 1, and you're looking at the weather.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's going to rain all day. We're even cutting it short an hour today to bring the guys in when it's going to get a little bit worse. Maybe they can set the records by then. Kyle Austin is on pace to get in our top 5. He got in the top 5 of an individual weight yesterday with 31.8.
All right. Well, we have a big day ahead of us here. Wet or not, we are going to have a big time. We talked about Luke Palmer, our special guest analyst here today, and what a great year he had last year. At the top of the list, this tournament right here, and a special cypress tree among about 200,000 cypress trees out there.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those things when things are going right and you get into the right rhythm. You know, the area that I actually caught them out of in practice, I don't think I caught like 1 or 2 fish out of it. I didn't even plan on catching them off trees. I actually planned on catching them, throwing a jerk bait, chatter bait, reaction bait off the end of those eelgrass points. That's where I was catching them in practice. I wasn't getting to like 4 to 7 bites a day, but it was that 5 to 9 pound range. So, but as you can tell, that didn't pan out at all.
Well, it seemed like a lot of anglers had gas in the tank for the first 2 days of competition, because you weren't even leading when we hit the weekend, but day 3 was the huge day where you went from not even leading to in the lead by quite a bit, and then you built on it on that final day when storms came in. So the sustainability for your pattern, you got better every day, whereas other people fell off a cliff weight-wise on the weekend.
You know, it was a little bit cooler in practice, and I think that's kind of what they were kind of backed off out. That's why they were out on the edge of that grass, and then whenever that sun popped out, they swam to the trees.
And you went to town. It was a great day. That is for sure. Let's hoist it one more time. Let's celebrate. This is a celebrated place. Back in the first year of the Elite Series, the record was set here for 4 days of fishing, 115 pounds. Preston Clark. It has been legendary for a long time. Kyle Austin trying to add his name to that legend.
Kyle Austin was our day 2 leader. He is the local angler, very close to qualifying for the Elite Series. And Tommy, this one was circled on his map. He said he's trying to utilize fishing in the moment of what's going on at Santee Cooper, but also using some local and historical knowledge. And this current spot has been key every morning. And this morning, just a couple minutes ago, we got to see him get off to a great start with a 5.5 pounder to kick off his day. We're going to see a lot more spinner baiting, lipless crankbaiting all day today for guys like Kyle.
Give me some of that.
Yeah, Ronnie, he was inside the top 10 in EQ last year before the final event fell out, just a 12th. I mean, by 20 points he did make the elites.
Caught a 5-pounder earlier, and then he hooked into an even bigger one. Got drove through a tree there, the cameraman and Kyle, but as you see, everything turned out pretty good.
2 over 5 pounds, Tommy, and where he is, and we'll see a map throughout the day, but this diversion can now, otherwise these 2 lakes are very big and you can be on a spot and not know there's much current. But when you get to some of these neck down places, some of these places where it does tighten up the water, you can see how quick it's moving, and plus you add in some wind in there. It is a lot swifter than you'd think, but that is why these fish are positioned where they are, not in the spawning mood, but in the feeding mood.
It's miserable out here, but we're
Watching him on the map the last 2 days. He's starting on the North Shore of Moultrie and going through the canal, hanging around the canal, both sides.
Let's get back to Kyle live.
We live now?
Yep. All right, we're live. Kyle, give me an update.
Yeah, so it's definitely a lot slower this morning. Our problem is the wind's blowing into here, which causes the current to kind of do a circle. And I'm on the first point pretty much where the wind will hit the current. So it's definitely got it messed up a little bit. We have caught 3. They're the right ones. They're the ones I would like to weigh in. I'm gonna try to stay here for a little bit longer, and if I can catch one more, I feel like I can go catch a 3 or 4 pounder on a cypress tree today. We don't have a long time. I hit a tree with my boat, so I don't know how we're going to get back yet. But first off, we're going to try to catch 25 pounds, make everybody else really sack them up, and go from there. Just hoping for 2 more bites right here. I know that. Make my day a lot easier. Oh.
Well, if 14, 15 pounds in the first 30 minutes is slow, we'll take it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think.
I'm a little more concerned about him bumping that tree than we thought. It looked like a bump, but it seems like it was a pretty hard hit with the current. Talking about, I don't know, stress crack, I don't know, water coming in, I don't know what, but...
He told someone immediately after, he hollered at somebody, I just broke my boat in half.
Yeah, exactly.
So hopefully it stays afloat.
Yeah.
Over to Parker Guy, another South Carolina with a whole volume of experience here at Santee Cooper Lakes.
That one tree in the background is one that I smacked him off of the first day of the tournament.
Ah.
That's what's kind of scary about these southern lakes, though. You could have a 10-pound lead, and you're not safe.
100%.
That's what's kind of scary.
All 10 anglers eligible for the Bassmaster Classic if they were to win. There are a few guys like Parker Guy and like Ronnie McCoy who are only fishing this division, and Scott Martin, obviously.
Scott Martin, sure. First look at Laker Howell. Good keeper there. Laker Howell. Visited with him before the takeoff this morning. He was just happy to be here. He didn't care about the weather. He's happy to be in the top 10, and who wouldn't be?
Yeah.
Got to get past some good anglers to get here.
I think there was only one angler really would be A-okay if we did cancel today, and that is who the leader is, Kyle Austin. Right. Everybody else wants at least a shot to go out and have a stake at claim for the win today. Obviously, with the weather.
Well, Lakers finished at being in the top 10. He was 89th in the EQ points, and he jumped up to 46, which is a really good climb on one event.
This is a
in position to make it.
Huge flip-flop in the standings from our top 10 after 2 events to after yesterday's competition.
6 new people in the top 10.
If you watched our first open presentation 5 weeks ago from Lake Okeechobee, you saw a remarkable day with Scott Martin just absolutely dominating and running away with that victory on his home field for sure. Lake Okeechobee in Clewiston, Florida, and he has not let up since.
No. And he's back flipping a bug.
Yeah.
I guess he's probably about the same bait he caught him on Okeechobee.
Yeah,
actually.
Very close. Yeah.
He might not have even retied it.
No, he probably just went back at it. Still using a big rod, big line, and getting to set the hook.
Tremendous amount of water coming down, and we're having some problem with some of the microphones out there, but we'll show you something with sound right now. We'll take you back to Lake Okeechobee 5 weeks ago. First stop of the year for the St. Croix Bassmaster Opens. And this was Scott Martin.
Gosh.
Just one fish at a time, baby. She's the monster.
Kicked it off with the biggest single-day bag in Bassmaster Opens history, 33-plus pounds on day 1. He had the lead there. Dismal, 20-something and change, later in day 2. And then another 31 pounds, I believe, on the final day. All equals up to about 90 pounds of bass for 3 days of competition.
And not a secret locals place, a pretty well-known place where he was catching them out of there, but he kind of slipped in there unnoticed.
Yes.
Unwrapped boat, kind of closed without logos while practicing and getting the first day under his belt.
Ninja mode, he said.
Ninja mode, right, exactly.
One big key, and you know this, Luke, is their subtleties. That was a very popular community hole area, but he fished it a little bit on the edge and a lot slower than other anglers. A lot of anglers throwing a spinning rod, throwing wacky rigs, shallow. He stayed maybe a foot deeper, a little on the edge, but slower, and that's why he got a lot more bigger bites than all those pressured fish, maybe smaller fish.
He was catching those ones that just moved in.
I don't know how we're going to get back yet, but first off, we're going to try to catch 25 pounds, make everybody else really sack them up, and go from there. Just hoping for 2 more bites right here, I know that. Make my day a lot easier. Oh.
Kyle Austin,
There's the right here.
Man on a mission. Last year he fished the EQ Series. That's the elite qualifying. That's the pathway to the top tour in bass fishing, the Bassmaster Elite Series, and just fell 2 positions short in the points race there. Oh, man. He's having a good start. Although he says it's slow.
Not a big one, but we'll take it. We're going to try to boat flip this one. The championship's going to do. Not a big one, but it'll do.
That, like he said, first goal is to catch a limit. He's already got 3 over 4 pounds, 2 over 5 pounds. He could just fill a limit from here. He's got all day long to maybe go catch a 4-pounder on a tree somewhere else and cull up.
How far was he in the lead?
1 pound.
Just 1 pound. But from 1 to 10th was
8 pounds.
Is it 8 pounds? I didn't know it was that much.
I think
different.
I caught that.
That's the way it stands right now. That's our unofficial leaderboard. Kyle Austin on top there. Dakota Ebear of Texas. Really, really exciting fisherman. You'll enjoy watching him work today. Matt Messer from Kentucky. Young angler Matt Adams. Scott Martin. We saw a little bit of Scott already. And Laker Howell. We'll be right back. The St. Croix Bassmaster Open at Santee Cooper Lakes presented by 7 is sponsored by Toyota, by Nitro Boats, by Dakota Lithium, and by Humminbird. Just really getting started here, still in our first hour of fishing on a shortened fishing day today owing to the weather. We'll be wrapping it up. Check-in time is not 2:30. It's going to be 1 o'clock today, Eastern time. There at the John C. Land facility on this incredible complex of lakes. 2 of them, Moultrie to your right on the bottom and Giant Lake Marion on top. Always been big bass destinations, especially this time of year. I'll show you some footage and start out with Laker Howell. This is from earlier this morning. Laker Howell into our top 10. Only 10 anglers left on this championship Saturday.
Laker Howell, if you know that last name, he's son of Randy Howell, Bassmaster Classic champion. He says, hey, I didn't go the college fishing route, guys, but I've really tested myself in Alabama, which if you test yourself in Alabama, you test them all over some of the best anglers in the world are in that state. He said he went regional to stepping up to a national level, and he said, now I feel like I want to try to make the Elite Series after what he's proved to himself the last 2 years in fishing the EQs, all 9 opens, and really improved his standing in the points race after this event so far with the top 10, but got a chatterbait going, got some moving baits going down in Moultrie in the hatchery today.
He's actually took the route that I did. The college fishing was kind of started whenever I was in college, but that just wasn't my feeling. I was still fishing team tournaments with my dad, so it was, that was my route.
Yeah.
I felt like that it was better acclimated for me to go fish the team tournaments, fish some solo tournaments to kind of get your feet wet, and fishing against those guys that got 15, 20, 30, 40 years of experience. Going against them felt like that was a tougher route somewhat for me.
And Laker Howell, by the time he was 10 years old, had been to every major fishery in this country for sure. Yeah. I mean, that's got to help a little bit too.
I guarantee you.
Yeah, there's lots of different ways to make your goals happen.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember sometimes back in your childhood certain things in history, but I guess if he did take good notes when he was a kid, he'd remember a lot of these lakes and know, you know.
Looks
hey,
like maybe he did.
I remember what, you know, what goes down on this lake, or what I should prepare for.
Well, we used to have to get up on Saturday mornings and watch Bassmaster,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
and tape it on VHS so they can just pull it up and watch it anytime they want to now.
That's right. Kyle Austin on the left there is a local here. Santee Cooper guides here, as a matter of fact.
Circled this one on the calendar. Obviously, it's his home lake, but he circled it for two reasons. One out of excitement and one out of nervousness. You never want to fall flat. If Patrick Walters didn't have his worst finish of the year last year on his home lake of Santee Cooper, he wins AOY going away, but he has his worst finish of the year here, and that was the one thing that Kyle Austin said, I do not want to struggle and bomb on my home lake, and that has not been the case at all. In fact, 72.7, Such unofficially with only 4 fish, I believe, that's 72 pounds 7 ounces, has him right below the top 5 all time in weights.
One more fish, and he said he gets in our top 5 opens total weights, and if it's a good fish, he's in the 4th spot.
At 24.7 on day 1 and 31.8 for the biggest bag of the tournament so far on day 2.
I texted him late on Wednesday night. I said, Kyle, give me your winning weight prediction and your top 45 weight prediction, which top 45 receives a check in the opens. And so he said 30 to 34 pounds to get paid, and he said 74 to 78 to win. So I would say that this local is about spot on when it comes to that top end weight of 74 to 78, because he's just below that mark right now. And then 45th place, Tommy, 37 pounds. It was on way above that expectations. People were thinking, maybe I can get, 15 to 16 a day will get me paid. Not at all. 18 and a half a day barely got you paid.
That tells you how good this fishery really is.
Oh.
We thought it showed out when we were here, but you can just, I really think that grass coming back and getting, grass is the biggest player everywhere we go. If a place has got grass and then all of a sudden it goes away, it's like the fishing's not as good, but when that grass initially starts coming back, and it's like the population explodes, or just like maybe every fish in the lake goes to that grass. But it's pretty neat. Toledo Bend hadn't really had as much until these last couple of years. It's really started coming back. And look how the weights went there. Which not all those fish were associated with grass, but it does help their spawning and stuff like that for their babies to hide.
We talk about both these anglers here trying to make it into the top 9 EQ points during the course of this year. That race is on. In fact, we're almost a third of the way done with it right now. The man in the lead as we start this day in official EQ, Tackle Warehouse EQ standings, is this man from Ontario, Canada, Evan Kung.
Tommy's had such a great start to his season, a 17th at Okeechobee, 9th at Ouachita for the second event, and came into today in 6th place of this event. Only 3 anglers. We always talk about, can you come back from a bomb, 100-plus place finish? Only if the top 9 allow you, and there was big slip-ups this week, so Evan Kung's able to jump out to a 21-point lead over Dakota Eberry's fishing today. Matt Adams also fishing today, another 20-something points back in 3rd. Mike Sermon barely missing the cut, and Easton Fothergill, who has almost made the first 2 top 10s of the year, had a little bit of a slip in the 80s this week.
Got Andy Newcomb, who was a big player last year, EQ situations, and 4 more. Those were the standings to start today.
Yes.
Official standings to start today. You do see a live tracking of that on Bass Track.
Yes, on
that's not official though. That's
yes.
not official. Okay.
And there's really just a little bit of movement with 3 or 4 of our top 10 in the points fishing today. Just a couple points will be allocated out, but when we looked at it, we talked about those top 50s. How many top 50s can you get in a year? After 3 events, Tommy, counting today as being done basically, only 3 anglers remain who have got a top 50 in all 3 events, and that is our top 2, Evan Kung and Dakota Eber. And then Cody Meyer, who's in 8th, has put 3 finishes from 31st to 45th together, so very, very consistent.
And Cody Meyer, is that the same Cody Meyer?
That is the same Cody Meyer that we expected to prosper. He is doing that.
Yeah. and we haven't even got up north yet.
No, we hadn't had that as part of the schedule yet.
We throw that spinning rod in his hand, things get finesse guy.
A lot of movement in our top 10 on the EQ standings. 6 different guys were in it from the second event. Last year there's only 2, and last year 7 guys who were in our top 10 stayed there through the rest of the season.
Yeah, they really didn't slip all year.
Ronnie McCoy, I guess, is the senior member of our 10 who are out there fishing today, and I mean that in a good way.
Yeah.
A lot of experience. He's won some BFL tournaments, and a local here, another one of our locals who is fishing this division only.
I messed up, Tommy. I thought he only signed up for this event because I didn't see him on the Okeechobee leaderboard, and he said, I don't blame you for not seeing me. I was pretty far down there at Okeechobee.
Yeah, we won't mention the number, but he wasn't pleased with it, I don't think.
But if he was to win today, he would be eligible for the Classic because he is fishing. The first one he did, the second one here, and then the next one for this division is in his same state at Hartwell. But McCoy said, I really feel undeserving if I was to win and make the Classic, to be able to line up at the Classic with some of the guys I watch all year on the Elite Series, and I'm just a regular old guy. I would feel undeserving, and even with a win, and he was super humbled to have the opportunity to make his dreams come true and fish with B.A.S.S. and maybe the Classic.
I think he'd take it, though.
Oh, no doubt. I said you can't win the Classic, Ronnie, if you're not in the Classic, so.
He's 59 years old.
Yeah.
Ronnie McCoy.
Lamar, South Carolina, just up the road.
Having the year of the local with Scott Martin blowing doors at Okeechobee and Jeremiah Kindy at Lake of Ouachita. Now Kyle Austin here.
And it used to be the plague. If you're the local, you might as well not even sign up.
Yeah.
You know, it's like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was.
I mean, not saying
it's completely turned around.
It has.
Remarkable.
I met Kyle, I think, last year before last. I met him at Patrick's house. We stayed there.
Yeah.
And then when we were waiting to take off and Lake the Ozarks, we kind of had a fog delay, I think, on day 2. I was backed in there and we was chit-chatting, and he was talking about catfishing at Santee, not worrying about the bass. I said, are you kidding me? Like, so he was more worried about the catfish than he was bass fishing, so I don't understand that.
He is not only a bass guide at times, but he is a big-time catfish guide on Santee Cooper. And actually, before the cutoff, a month or 2 ago, he was out in his, they catfish guide in big pontoon boats. And even though he knows all the routes to take navigation-wise, hit a tree, knocked his motor off of his boat.
What?
And he said, whoever wants to ask me on where to go to drive safe at St. don't ask me, because I did not know that tree was there. So you can know all the trees, but I guess a new one popped up.
That place is very treacherous. Yeah, I definitely have scared some marshals and camera guy boats with Santee, because it's either you run it or you idle it, and I don't like idling very often.
Time is money. Can't see it, can't hit it, right?
Yeah. What was that Biff always said? If you can't see it, it ain't there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he had very many lower units in his time career either.
Chad Grigsby in the lower right spent some time on the Bassmaster Elite Series 2015, 2016, working to get back into it. A Minnesota angler.
Would still love to fish in the Bassmaster Classic. He's got a different perspective on it as being a successful angler throughout 20-something years of a fishing career. But still, the Classic is something that keeps people awake at night.
You notice the guys that are like in the very top, within the top 3 or 4, they only have like 3 or 4 rods on their deck.
Got it dialed in.
Dialed in.
I mean,
Now, what does that mean? That means you're dialed in?
You're dialed. You know what you're going to go do. Like when I done good at Santee, I had 6 rods on the deck. 4 of them had the same exact bait on them. I mean, that way it was just, to me, at Santee, you don't have to have a lot of stuff. I mean, you can stay pretty consistent with your rod choices and what you need. You can go with your 5 flipping sticks, or you can pick up 5 spinnerbaits. That's what's kind of nice about that place.
Well, confidence matters, counts for a lot. And of course, there's a young man with it right there. Kyle Austin, sitting on top right now with a 10-pound lead as it stands right now. But there are always big leads on top early on in the proceedings before everyone gets a limit. And no one among our top 10 has a limit in the bag yet. We'll be right back. Today, it's a huge regular season finale on Fox. First, 10th-ranked Creighton takes on Villanova at 2:30 Eastern. Then at 5, 8th-ranked Marquette battles Xavier. And in primetime, 2nd-ranked UConn faces Providence. It all tips off later today on Fox. Tournament time is looming for college basketball. And, boy, we got a big-time tournament going on right here on Santee Cooper. St. Croix Bassmaster Open, presented by 7. Third Open of the year, second in Division I. This was the first one in Division II that happened in between. This is Jeremiah Kendi. This was another story of local dominance. Jeremiah Kendi from right up in the road in Benton, Arkansas, from Lake Washita up in the mountains, absolutely took over this tournament.
He's got it, 16 pounds and 7
You were in
ounces
this event, Luke. You're fishing in that Central Division, Division II. What was it like at Washita? Because it was summer, fall, and winter, all in spring, somewhere in there, all 3 days of the tournament.
It was a lot of fun, you know, practicing that lake. I'd never been there, so it was neat, you know, and I just didn't adjust. When you're fishing the opens, you're looking to do one thing for me, and that's win to make the classic. You make some hard-headed stuff, and that's what I was doing, real hard-headed, and didn't adjust.
Well, let's get out on the water with Chad Grigsby. Caught one earlier to get an update now.
Affecting the bite today? I don't know if it's affecting the bite. It's affecting where I can fish. So I guess you could call it that. Just we'll stumble into them. It's just the area I really wanted to fish. It's not good. I mean, it's impossible to fish. You just can't. There's rollers coming in on it. So we'll come over here where it looks like the wind isn't blowing when you see it on the camera, but it really is blowing. So we'll go catch some up here, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's blowing at all.
Chad was one who was very excited about the weather today because he wasn't going far. He's not going to Moultrie. He's not going, you know, to the south side of the lake. He was going to the north side, right around, you know, to just a little west of takeoff, and was excited that, hey, I can get to my fish, but obviously that wind slightly changes, maybe from the southeast or southwest, and now it's
almost 19 pounds,
hitting his area.
We're going to go skip some trees, and if we run across a 4 or 5 pounder, we're going to be in good shape. So see if we can get it done. We're about to make a little move, go back to my stomping grounds in Upper Lake, because it is rough back there. So I don't know, it's a crazy day. We'll see if we can get it done.
Kyle, only one of our 10 with 4 keepers in the box. That's how you stay in the lead.
Great to see that his boat's working.
Yeah, it's floating.
All good.
That's a good thing.
Not by boat error, but by wind and current error. Yeah. Blew him into a tree earlier in the middle of a 5-pounder, but all is well because he caught it.
Gosh, it looks so good, that lake does. Everything looks fishy. It's like, where do you even start out on that place? Because you can literally
I've been catching them all week
unload the boat and go fishing. Go off trolling motor and never pick it up.
Jackhammer, 1/2 ounce. It's just, obviously it's a vibrating jig, but they're spawning up around this grass and cypress trees, and I mean, they're just, if you can roll it by one, they are mad at the world. And the ones I caught yesterday had my hands full. You hang that grass, it almost feels like when you catch one, they don't really even bite it because they're spawning. I mean, they're obviously biting it because they don't have hands, but it just gets mushy, just like you're hung in grass, and then all of a sudden it takes off. So you'll see me set the hook a lot. I mean, just pulling, because I can't tell if it's a fish or grass, so just hopefully we get 5 of them that aren't grass and catch another 29 today.
That looks like an extreme buzzbait place.
But it's been fun. I love live scope and all that, but this is bass fishing here.
Ooh, little dig.
1.3.
Now, Luke Palmer, how did you decide to fish where you
finder.
Ended up fishing in the Santee Cooper Lead events?
Thanks,
you know, it was one of those deals that I just I fished, you know, in practice. It's not a place like you can go graph, you know, and I'm not a good grapher anyway, but I went around and I went in there in pre-practice actually and spent a couple of days looking around and stuff again, and plus prior knowledge, or not prior knowledge, but what do you want to call it? Knowledge from the past.
Yeah, past tournaments.
Past tournaments.
You're correct.
and have just
the region.
Yeah, and that area is always good.
Yeah, they got plenty.
I mean, if you go look back for the last 30 years of tournaments, that area
he went and checked out that
is just
National
always
Wildlife
good.
Refuge right down the road.
And it was hard to. It was tough because you don't get a lot of bites, and it's, to me, if you can get a couple bites in an area,
gosh,
you
you're
got to
not that big.
settle down and just
Where are you
go
going?
fishing, because they're going to come, eventually, and and it
acting
had
like you're
everything
big,
I
but you're
wanted. It
not.
had grass, it had a couple of ditches coming in there, had deeper trees, and
just
it
hope
was
there's
just
a
ideal
6-pound
storm
male
for that
sitting there,
place.
or a female sitting there.
The year before, though, when I come in fourth, what killed me on the final day, and I knew this, and I told my camera guy, Aaron, I said, if the wind blows out of the north, it's not going to be good for me. And he said, you just caught 33 pounds the day before. I said, I know, but that's going to cool my water off. And from the day that I caught 33, and I quit fishing at 12:30 that day pretty much because every tree I was catching a 5.5 pounder and it wasn't helping me. So it was like, but I backed off of them, and that north wind blew in there and it cooled my water off 5 degrees and those fish vanished.
We got
Good
19
call.
on the final day.
All right, there's our unofficial leaderboard as it stands right now. Kyle Austin started with the lead. He remains in the lead, and right now he brings us our Bass Pro Shop's top lures.
Give me some of that. Look at that spinnerbait. It's gone. Start the day off with a little 5.5 pounder. Give me some of that. Woo, give me some. Yeah, yesterday I've been catching one of the lipless on a Strike King 2-tap lipless crankbait. Yesterday they stopped biting it, and I grabbed this out the bottom of the boat. It had a rust on it, my other one did, and first cast yesterday I caught a 6-pounder, so definitely a key bait change. Let's go. It's miserable out here, but we're still catching bigs. Woo! Strike King 2-tap. Everybody forgetting about these free spawners out here. That's what you catch.
Don't forget about those tree spawners, Luke.
Yeah. Kyle Austin mixing it up a little bit, and he said it looks, I'm out in the middle, it looks like it might be deeper, but it's just a subtle, slight depression where that current will suck around, and
pretty slow. I got one 3.5 pounder, but this wind is kind of hurting my area. As you can see, it's blowing straight into it in here, but hopefully I can put it in front of 4 more good ones. See how we end up, but I don't know. During practice and the first day of the tournament, it was a lot different. I think there was a lot more fish moving in here. So if y'all are watching, y'all see me throwing up to a tree and sitting there and shaking it for a long time, which in the first day and the last day of practice, I didn't have to do that. They were biting it as soon as it got in there, but as part of it, I think they're locking down on the bed, so I think that has something to do with it. So, yeah, we're gonna see if we can put it in front of 4 more. Hopefully get us a couple big ones.
Parker Guy from Masilla, Georgia.
I know there's a bunch of big ones living in here, so.
Parker Guy, one of the college fish, we got 3 or 4 or 5 out of our top 10 either directly affiliated with college fishing currently or in the past. A Parker Guy from Emmanuel College, him and his partner, I believe, both signed up to fish this tournament. He's fishing this full division to try to make the Classic.
Not just pelting down where Parker Guy is right now, and you can see as we look at our map there, this This big mass, this front is moving through, and we all know the dynamics of front. You get wind as it comes in from one direction. When it pulls through, it starts pulling wind from the other direction.
Yeah, and it looks like obviously it's going up the coast of South Carolina and whatnot when you're looking at this map, but also that wind in the afternoon rotating from the southwest or the west, pushing the rest of that towards the coast. That's the wind direction that hurts Santee Cooper because of how wide this is. Not how tall it is, but how wide this lake is.
And you have to run the boat lanes. You can't just run where you want to on this lake too. That's what makes it rough.
We talked to our anglers a little bit earlier about the weather and their prospects for today, and they all had a definite plan to deal with it. Oh, okay, we'll get that for you in just a second. Let's get back out to Parker Guy.
You can see there's 4 or 5 different water colors out on Santee Cooper. After talking to some anglers, there are places like Tawcaw Creek that are dirty as can be, and places like maybe Potato that are clearing up, the Brickyard, Utahville clearing up some. Places like the Hatchery down in Moultrie have a different color of water. And so depending on where you want it, that weather could affect it today. Wind making it dirtier, or the rain making it dirtier, some places cleaning up with the conditions. So it's been an adjustment wherever you're going.
Well, again, we mentioned that all our anglers, the 10 out there today, are thinking about the weather. What was on their mind before they started? Let's listen.
How's that start today? It gets nasty out there. I grew up on this lake my whole life, and it's rough, that's for sure. Honestly, I think I'll be safer than a lot of people because a lot of people's catching them shallow, bed fishing and stuff, and that weather's going to make it tough on them. And I'm out there fishing grass, throwing a trap and stuff, so I should still be able to fish through it better than most of the shallow people.
When I found these fish or found this pattern, it was raining. It was on the 3rd day of practice, so I don't think it'll affect me that much.
I'm just going to be open-minded. I'm just going to go out there and fish.
It's definitely going to affect a lot of guys. I think for what I'm doing, it should make it better. I don't want to say that and not, but it definitely, those kind of conditions should make it better. Hopefully it comes true. Give me some of that.
Kyle Austin, that man on the run right now. He said he's going to have to make some moves during the course of today. Caught him very early his first 2 days at that special spot we found him at, but he is on the way to spot number 2, and we'll be on the way back in just a moment.
You're watching a Fox Sports presentation of B.A.S.S.
Now we're watching this action here from the Santee Cooper Complex. These incredible 2 giant lakes here. South Carolina, this time of year, they are just absolutely legendary because that's when the big ones show themselves here, and we have seen a lot of that this week. Multiple, I mean, close to 50 20-pound bags on day 1 alone from our full field out there, but we're down to 10. On this final day, one of the anglers we are following is Laker Howell, having his best start of the year on the opens. Had a slow start down in Okeechobee, finished 100 points better at Ouachita. If he can do, he's going to do several points better here. He's already assured of that.
It doesn't even look like the wind's blowing down there.
Yeah.
He must he must be in the right area.
Well, it's coming from that southeast corner, so if he's tucked up towards that south bank of Moultrie, he could be protected. And obviously with all the rain and running to his first spot, a little mic difficulty, but another good one for him as he tries to carry on the family legacy and make a Bassmaster Classic himself.
How old is he?
He'd be one of the young. He's a young one. He's a young one. Let me see.
21,
22 years old.
22?
22. Been utilizing a bladed jig, bruised green pumpkin, a little bit of black and blue, a little bit of green pumpkin in there.
He's another one doesn't have a bunch of rods on his deck either.
Nope.
Yeah.
But he's kind of committed
Zacho trailer, and I think he's even mixed in maybe another type of moving baiter, but mostly just that bladed jig.
His 3rd tournament, and he's getting exponentially better in each one. 163rd down at Okeechobee, 62nd over in Ouachita, and now he's in our top 10.
Back to Scott Martin, our winner at the first stop, his home waters, Lake Okeechobee. settled into the top 3. Strength of that fish right
That's
there.
That's a big one, dude.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he hit him
That's
and
a big one.
didn't even move when he stuck her.
That's a big one.
Oh my gosh, dude.
That is a tank.
We found a blimp. Woo! Number 2. Dude, that's awesome. I think they're coming in here. These are all new fish, guys. Oh, guys, that's what we need. Dude, how about that? Dude. Guys, thank y'all for watching this beautiful showdown at Santee Cooper Lakes right here in Clarendon County. Doesn't get any better than that right there. Megas, dude, megas. What just happened? That thing, whoo.
Dude, it looked like you hooked a stump.
I know. Oh gosh, this fish is beautiful too, man. Fresh, pretty. Seven two.
7-2. Oof. Joins Matt Messer in the 7-pound club with Matt's first fish being at 710 that he weighed.
Okay.
A lot of the guys will weigh them. It might not be official on Bass Track, but they weigh them to get a good estimate for culling later in the day. So.
Another look here, yeah. That jump tells the story.
In all honesty,
oh my goodness.
us bass fishermen, we're always promoting something, right? I'm gonna tell y'all, don't buy these. Don't buy them. Because it could lead to like straining muscles. It could lead to like broken ribs. It could lead to broken rods if you don't have good ones. It could lead to broken hearts. Bandito bug. I don't know, man. This thing's something. There's something special. The other thing that's special, honestly, this thing is super special. That's bait pop on there, guys. You know, they developed this bait pop for to see your bait a little bit better on sonar, but it has fish formula in it, and that's what I'm using it for. A minute ago, he saw it. I put it on the first flip in there, bit it. It works. It works really, really good. This stuff is thick. It pastes. You have different colors. That's like a copper. I put it on there, which is great for like crawdad style baits. Look how thick that is. When they bite it, they hold on to it. They eat it good, and that scent is just coming off. So, tip of the day. Bandito bug and some bait pop. Ooh, yes!
It's all good, but what I really like about what Scott did, he went old school on us there. He called this a Santee Cooper Showdown, which is what they call the first time that the elites were ever here, back in almost 20 years ago.
Who won that one?
That was Preston Clark.
Yeah. 115 pounds, set the record for 4 days of fishing at that time.
I pitched it back out there.
All bait
it just
fishing
was tight.
pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
It went. I never felt it bite. I just lifted it up. It was tight. I'm like, uh-oh.
And people forget, yes, Scott lives at Lake Okeechobee. That's where Roland Martin made it famous, and he also has Oklahoma ties. But Roland spent a ton of time in his life guiding at Santee Cooper. Not that that helps Scott anyway, but there is a family tie to the roots of the Martins at Santee Cooper, because that's where Roland did a lot of heavy lifting as he started his elites or his professional fishing career with Bassmaster.
Here a lot. Yeah, Roland gave me outrageous numbers of like I caught 500 10-pounders from Santee Cooper. And
think he said
700 over 8 pounds or something, or 800 or 1,000 or 20,000.
Got another one?
That's another one.
Number 3, maybe.
And that's another big one. These bed fishing, they just keep coming.
Woo! They called me the exterminator. We're eradicating them. That's the way you want to do it.
I think they call him the landlord. He's evicting them.
Yeah. Honestly, the reason that bandito bug's so good
about to start catching that.
Is that big bulky baits. The bigger fish bite it more often first. You throw a little tiny drop shot in there and little finesse worms and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you're going to get bit like crazy, but you're going to catch the males first a lot.
think Roland said, why would I want to fish on the Bassmaster Tournament Trail and leave Santee Cooper because it's such a great place? Turns out Roland made a good decision, made a lifelong career out of it, but Santee Cooper, that just goes to show you. Why would you leave when you got him like this?
That place has been phenomenal since it was built.
Forever.
You know, I mean,
that was the first tournament, one of the first tournaments I ever covered as shooting tournament back in '96. So I'll tell you about that one of these days. That was incredible. It was something else.
New leader.
New leader, Laker Howell. He just jumped up into third place, got knocked out by Scott Martin, and now he's back on top. We'll fill you in on what happened when we come back. A lot of action going on here at the Santee Cooper Lakes. St. Croix Bassmaster Open going on right now in South Carolina. Hey, 2 weeks from today, first day of fishing in the World Championship. Bass Pro Shops Bassmaster Classic presented by Jockey Outdoors. Grand Lake of the Cherokees for the third time. We went there in 2013, had a great tournament. Ditto for 2016 is a great playing field to find the #1 angler in the sport in this tournament like no other. Only 3 days long, but it decides so much and it'll change your life. We have a very special analyst in the studio today. That is Luke Palmer. And Luke, you're the master of this place, Santee Cooper Lakes, but you're going home to Oklahoma to fish in your 5th straight, and congratulate us on that, 5 straight classics. I'm sure the Grapevine, you live down a little south, but the Grapevine is strong there. What's it going to be like at Grant?
I think it's going to be a fun tournament. We've had a lot warmer spring than we normally have at this time of the year. Doesn't mean that we don't have a snowstorm coming the first day of the tournament or something, but I really think it's going to be a lot of fun. People are going to show out. It's the Classic, though. The Classic is everything for us bass fishermen. You know, we look forward to that every year, and to get to fish it, it's dream come true. But to win it, set your lifelong goal, and you're set up in stone then. And I want to be set in stone on the Classic.
All right, I would count you among the favorites for sure. Maybe the favorite. You
may see him on camera day one at the Classic too. No pressure.
Why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we do that? Absolutely.
It's funny you said snow.
Whoa, no, it's not. Not at all.
Second day of practice, it's going to get down to 39 degrees in the morning. So that's about the coldest for the whole week. Other days, it'll get up in the mid-60s every day. There's a cold front.
Luckily, the second day of practice is a week before the tournament starts, so that's a good problem to have.
You get to go just drive around and drink hot chocolate all day. They like kind of
find holes in the grass.
It's
Most
big.
of the holes have
But it's not very wide, so you're thinking, oh, I'll just go down here. I'll just go down here, and all of a sudden you're 30 minutes into it.
Load in, so seems like I've caught 2 new ones so far. We'll see what happens. But we need three more 6 to 7 pound fish to have a shot at this thing. That's what we need.
Santee, you can dang sure catch 3 more 6, 7, 8, 9 pounders, you know, and
this guy just caught a 7-2 moments ago.
Kyle went from big rod to spinning rod real quick.
And that's been his, game plan throughout the week. Is he said he checked the same tree 6 times yesterday, just because it is one of those trees. It always holds a fish. He said also this week, with the grass influx, a lot of eelgrass. Matt Messers mentioned that there's eelgrass around where he's fishing, but there's hydrilla in one of the ditches on a flat. So there's a couple different varieties, but Kyle said there's so much eelgrass that he's had to seek out trees this week that maybe have worked in the past but don't have grass around them now. There's some good trees that now have grass around them, and it's changed the way those fish position on trees. So he's looked for trees that maybe don't have as much grass around them, so that the fish are only there for one reason, and that's the tree. They don't have a lot of other cover to swim to.
Laker Howell's weight, 72 pounds, 11 ounces, is tied with Chris Lane's that stands 5th all-time total weights in Opens history.
And it ain't over with yet.
No.
We could rewrite the whole script almost.
And we could update that Such with another 2.5 pounds for Kyle Austin and get him at 75 even, because he said, his cameraman during the commercial break said they weighed them, more accurately, and that he probably has 4 for 19, not 4 for 16.5. So we're working on getting our unofficial leaderboard updated a little bit, but that'll give him the lead again just by a little bit.
Next to pass is Ben Milliken's Toledo Bend, 77-14, and then Corey Johnson, 78 even, 2021 St. Lawrence. So we could climb into the top 3.
Real easy.
Get second, you got to beat Swindle's 80-13 at Toho.
The weights this year, it's like we're at the St. Lawrence River every tournament.
It's explosion.
Like, you know, it's not like, you know, we used to, if you caught 15, 16 a day, you were right around the cut for sure. Now, if you don't catch 18 to 20, you...
It's a different world.
It's crazy.
Bassmaster saw him catch a good one earlier. Hooked up again.
I don't know what that is. There's about no way it's a bass.
Whatever it was, absolutely.
Dang it.
I don't know if that's a bass. I have caught
That
some
wasn't
gorilla.
There's no way.
Blue cats down there on a chatterbait and stuff in a foot of water.
Definitely just reeled into something, snagged it or something.
Looking for some slime or a scale or something on your
to
bait,
make you feel
hoping.
better about it.
Just something that says, hey, this wasn't a bass, man.
Or it was a 14-pounder, one of the two.
Yeah, that's the...
Also a good sign.
Don't have a whole lot of time today. Seems like they've been pulling up pretty good around like 1 o'clock. And that's what time we got to be in today. So I don't know. We're still going to fish it because it's what's got me here. And I already caught a 7 this morning in here. So it'd be kind of crazy to leave it. We're just going to have to grind it and see what happens.
Matt Messer reminding us that if you're just joining us, they're fishing a shortened day today due to the weather. The wind expected to pick up and be problematic. People trying to get back to the check-in this afternoon, originally for 2:30, but now it's at 1 o'clock Eastern time.
And there are some lakes, like the Great Lake, it's just hard to get a 3 or 4 day tournament achieved without a weather delay of some sort. We had the Elite that Drew Cook won. We had a day that was postponed, and we moved it to a Monday so we could do a 4-day tournament. That final day of your victory, it was worrisome. We got out there, the storm hit, and then it kind of got better at the end of the day, but that mid portion of the day was worrisome. And everybody was like, well, I guess I want to go, even though Luke's probably going to throttle him again, but that's our only shot of winning is if we go. Yeah. And then there's been a ton of 3-day tournaments that have turned into 1 or 2-day tournaments because it's either been extreme winds or the storms here. So would you say, I think Lake Marion is the biggest lake in South Carolina and one of the biggest lakes.
One of the biggest man-made lakes in America.
In America. Yeah. But then you have a whole nother lake attached to it that people can go to that's not just as big, but it's a pretty big lake as well.
Yeah, like we said too, you can't just take off across these lakes.
No.
You have to run right along the dam. You have to run boat lanes because it's solid forest out there that's just under the water that can ruin your day real quick. I know when we came in the final day, I came in a little bit early because I was like, I've got a pretty big bag. Like I'm gonna, I'll go fish around the ramp. Yeah, and I think I came in 1:30. And I remember going across and hitting the middle of the boat lane, and there was a boat coming. And I went down in the swell, and they did too, and there was no boat either way. You couldn't see them, they couldn't see me. I mean, it was gassing, but how it was running, you could at least run the trough, but it was big. Like, I was like, this is
Not
almost
for the
Great
timid.
Lakes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Scott Martin looking for number 4. Oh, about the same size as keeper number 3, maybe a little less. Luke, tell us the story about an unexpected run you had to make before the morning of a takeoff of an Elite Series event at Santee when you win.
I'm not going to put my camera guy Aaron on blast at all, but
Aaron.
No, I was camping then, so we camped in Patrick's Walters' backyard pretty much, which was about a 45-minute drive
around the lake.
Around the lake. No big deal, and we get there, and I know how takeoffs go and stuff, so I'm not like super fast to get there. I'm boat 75, whatever. And we're sitting there lollygagging around, getting our boat ready, and he's about to dump me in, and he goes,
Just a small one, same kind of deal.
You got the GoPros? I'm like, what do you mean? He said, my backpack that has the GoPros is at Patrick's house. I'm like, oh my gosh. And we asked 4 or 5 people because we have to run the GoPros for our point of view camera.
Of them in there. We saw
and for my YouTube. And I'm like, oh my gosh. We asked 4 or 5 guys. No one's got an extra one. And at 7, or at, we took off at 7:30. At 7:05, we take across the lake to Patrick's house. I'm talking.
Gotta go to the south side.
We didn't go to the boat lane. I said, put your life jacket on and don't look up. And I said, hold, brace for impact. We ran over there and back. I dropped Aaron off, picked up my Marshall, and Lisa called my number as soon as I got in line. And we took
no
off.
big deal.
Sounds funny now.
It was funny. And then I go, and Aaron's watching Bass Track, and I don't catch a fish till 1:30 that day. He thought my life was over with that.
It all turned out. Hey, we are far from over right here. Absolutely. It's going strong here at Santee Cooper, and more catching on the way.
£31 and 8 ounces, and Kyle Austin moves into the lead.
So I'm from Ridgeville, South Carolina. It's about 20 minutes to Lake Moultrie and 30 minutes to Lake Marion. I grew up, or literally we have a camper right behind us back here. It's been permanently there for probably 20 years now. So grew up coming to the lake. I've been obsessed with bass fishing since I was a kid. Spent a lot of time out here, and a few years ago I actually quit my 9-to-5 job to pursue the Bassmaster Opens, as well as start my own guide business. I run catfish charters as well as bass charters, and so I spent a lot of time out on the lake. It would mean a lot to win in this parking lot right here.
One of our attractions here, the tacklewarehouse.com. Kyle Austin giving us a little bit more details about his story, which is an interesting one out here. And of course, it's been a more than interesting week for Kyle. Started the day, his final championship Saturday with the lead. Here's the man in the lead right now, though. First man to a 5-fish limit, Laker Howell.
I've been down kind of in the area that he's fishing. Oh, we got him hooked up again. And it's just like a big, giant flat with a few little ditches and depressions where those fish will actually kind of set in. I mean, you can just
real
see.
Subtle.
Very
just
subtle.
a foot change, maybe.
Yes, if that, on some of it. So it's kind of it's a neat place, and it's all sandy, good, prime hatchery places for the fish to spawn.
Like we mentioned with the weather this morning, the heavy rains, there's been some cameras and microphones that have gone down throughout the day just with the wetness and moisture, and currently not able to hear Laker Howell.
Oh, man.
But that is one that you want right there.
That's a big one.
Getting rid of a 112.
Wow. Yeah, that's a cull.
That is a big cull right there. I wish we could bring you. We can't bring you the sound right now. We're working on that. But man, oh man, what a moment. Leading the tournament, something like that shows up.
I can't tell if he's excited and he's about to cry, or
if
he's wet and
understandable.
I mean, I don't blame him.
Good lip reader there. He said, "Oh my God." He said something along the lines of, "That's a big one. Let's go."
Yeah. Do you think? Is that a good guess there, Ronnie?
This one's for Ronnie Moore.
I'm gonna have a heart attack. Exhale, exhale.
It's a big moment. This is heady stuff for a 21-year-old.
100%. And we got to talk last night. I said that. I mean, there's a lot of anglers who have had to deal with, maybe the shadow of their father or their family name. And how about that call right there? That's another lip reading there. Give a kiss to the fish that helped him get his first limit of the day.
I'm anxious to see how big that one was. That's going to put him. How much weight is that going to put him at now?
Gosh,
he's up over 20, isn't he?
Had 17, so yeah.
We did get an update from Kyle Austin's camera guy. Like we said, instead of 16.5, he had 4 for 19. That 5.5 pounder, we saw him get excited with the spinnerbait. He didn't weigh it and just kept going fish. 6.11 was what that one ended up weighing. So he had a 6.11, a 5.5, and a 4 3/4. That's 2-pounder. That was quite accurate.
Yeah.
But
Laker entered that fish as a 6 pound 4 ounce. He's up to 23.7. And he's back in the lead.
Yeah.
And in record territory.
77 pounds 3 ounce total.
These guys down in Lake Moultrie have got a pretty good run.
Yes,
getting to the diversion canals is a pretty good little
45 minutes they said on the phone last night, if it's not bad.
Yeah, so these guys, their timing is getting very limited. That's the thing about a shortened day. your mind starts thinking a lot faster. You start fishing a little faster, you know, because if you're in a late flight at the Open, you're not like away until 5:30.
Right.
So I mean, your day's forever long.
Right. It's open-ended almost.
Yeah.
That Messer got a 710. That's our Phoenix Boat Big Bass. That one's
Number 2.
Challenge that, but
Ain't as big as the other one, but
good to start filling in behind that one.
it's a bass.
Everyone he catches has been a good fish.
It's just so slow in here. Just takes a lot of casting.
He said he really
Run
had
into some big ones every now and then.
He said it's somewhat of a depression. Maybe some would classify it as a ditch, but it's 100 foot wide, where it's a little deeper. And
it's a 3.5 pounder. It puts me up to about close to 11 pound in 2. If I can just get some bites, they're all solid ones, but daggone, it's hard.
He said he's been pulled down at times and just fan casting, trying to cover it. You know, when you got it, it's not a defined ditch. It's just, it could be anywhere in here. But he said throughout the day, there'll be, 1 o'clock, they'll have another flurry of fish come through. But today, he doesn't get to fish at 1 o'clock. He's got to be back at 1. So he's really got to press it and hope that there's not a midday lull. Maybe 1 every hour will get it done.
I could not imagine trying to throw a wacky worm with the wind
on
like
a tree.
that. Not doing it. Was that where wacky worm was invented at Santee? Because
has to be.
Everybody throws a wacky wig.
I would,
dinger,
Lake
Cinco,
Fork. You
something,
also associate it with Lake Fork big time.
You know what's weird? What interesting is there's bluegill in that bed eating all the fry, eating all the eggs or something. I can see the bluegill going crazy.
One big reason is all those cypress trees you see. They have those roots, the knees, that come far out. And when you use a standard Texas rig, maybe if it's a ½ ounce or 3/8 ounce, you're more likely to get down in there and do that. You were throwing a Texas rig, but you had varied up the weights, where you had 4 of the same baits, but you had 2 or 3 different weight selections there.
Yeah. That was, like you said, flipping cypress knees, it's really tough to throw a bigger weight. You'd love to be able to be more accurate, but I was throwing a 3/16, a quarter, and a 5/16 was about as big as I would go. Because, when you really get to how fast even a 1/4 ounce gets to the bottom, it's fast.
Mm-hmm.
When you're flipping shallow, less than 3 or 4 foot of water. So that lighter weight, and you're not going to get hung up near as much. That's a big thing too, because it seems like cypress fishing for me, I'm not a real big cypress guy, because Santee is about the only place I've ever really fished them, is how many trees can I fish in a day? I want to make 3 to 5 flips at each tree, and I'm ready to the next one as fast as I can go down and get as many of them. And because flipping is a game of numbers and how many times you can put your bait in the water. And so that was a big thing for me there.
When you were there, it was a month later than it is now, right? And
yeah.
Still, those were spawners.
Still spawning then too,
Okay.
So I just think there's such a big, and I don't think the water got extremely warm. I think we were still in the upper 60s, maybe right around 70, because the shad spawn hadn't really kicked off. It was almost starting to happen, but we had a little bit of cool spell, and it kind of backed that water off, and those fish still went up there and
They'll run
kept
up
spawning.
on a jerkbait and bite it, because it's like a bluegill. That's what they're doing. They're down there chasing.
Got a little different picture here, guys. We're first week of March here at Santee Cooper, a place where we'd expect the spawn to be a big factor for the decisions these anglers are going to make. Luke, we saw a lot of forward-facing sonar. We saw you on camera, successful at Toledo Bend doing that. Explain the difference from, we're seeing spinnerbaits, lipless crankbaits in the current, it's pre-spawn. We're also seeing chatterbaits and, and lipless in the grass down in Moultrie Factor. And then we're going to see guys who are skipping trees that they could be spawning or flipping on beds like we're seeing with Scott Martin. A little bit different view compared to just looking down at your graph the last few events, but Toledo and Fork were more of a winter to pre-spawn tournament for the most part compared to where we're transitioning these next few events.
Yeah, and obviously Santee's got some deep water in it, but these fish live in 5 foot or less 90% of the year, it seems like, and that's whenever guys really can catch them. And plus, like we talked about, the grass is coming back, and it's a lot harder to use live scope up super shallow like these guys are going. I mean, you've seen Chad Grisby, he's up there throwing it water willow grass, that I call it, right on the bank.
Grass, yeah.
And so, I mean, and you're wanting to cover water there, and these guys are covering water and finding that active fish. Chad said when that chatterbait would come through that bed, they're still going to hit it. They're not just chasing it away. They're going to put it to shame. So I think that's one thing that these guys not having to use the forward facing, and there's a full-fledged spawn going on right now there. It's happening.
We're seeing Scott do exactly what he did at Okeechobee with perspective mode, which is the shallow water version of, forward-facing sonar of live scope. That perspective mode allows him to see those bluegill swimming around on beds or that fish sitting in the bed, to where when it is dirtier water, like Chad Grigsby's talking about, you can wind baits through there and get a reaction and either land the fish or slow down now, or it also allows you to sneak up on places where you expect them to spawn, but you can't see because it is dirty or cloudy or not conducive conditions.
And like he said here, same thing he said down at Okeechobee, I got them coming. They're new fish every day showing up here. So.
Yeah, this isn't a major, I don't guess it's a major cold front pushing through, so these fish are still coming. They're wanting to do their thing and spawn.
They said that Ronnie McCoy said that the water temp was around 55 to 56 sustained when they got here for practice Saturday or Sunday, and that it's now sustained 61 in a lot of areas. So obviously cool rain or windy conditions can tone it back a little bit, but for the most part, that floor of water temp has now risen 5 or 6 degrees since practice. So these fish are now more stable. This is the only real change that they've had.
It's kind of like Florida. It seems like every year we go to Florida to start the year, we have a cold front, and it's tough in practice. And then all of a sudden, the tournament day, it warms up, and that water, it seems like that cold front really pushes these fish. It kind of slows them down, then all of a sudden they get that warm trend, and they're like, we've got to go. Chad's hooked up too, so he's got the chatterbait still working. You can see how dirty his water is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a keeper.
Gonna be fish number 2 for Chad Grigsby. We got another one similar size in the live well. We have about 3 anglers with limits right now.
She is tight at the top.
2. Yes, absolutely. This is a battle going on out there today. Kyle Austin started the day with the lead. Look at Laker Howell just right. It's a virtual tie between those. Those are unofficial weights right there, so that is a great battle at the top. Martin dangerous here. E-Bear, hey, they're all dangerous here. The top 10 in action on the Santee Cooper. Tomorrow on Fox, the NASCAR Cup Series gets heated as the best drivers in the world take on the Jewel of the Desert in Phoenix. Pre-race begins at 2:30 Eastern. The engine's firing at 3:30 Sunday on Fox. Got a big race going on right here. The Santee Cooper Lakes, that is Laker Howell. He's obviously got an affinity for this lake. He just pulled himself into right up behind our leader, Kyle Austin, on the strength of some good fish early on today. One of our few with a limit so far. We've seen good fish. We have not seen an abundance of limits, so it's not a free throw for sure by any means. You got to figure out something special if you want to win this one, and it looks to be very, very tight at the top.
Tommy, Laker's got a good first name to be a fisherman, and he's got a pretty good last name in terms of reputation in the biggest tournament in the sport, the Bassmaster Classic, and Laker would love to add his name to the list that is fishing Ray Roberts in 2025. With a win today, he could do it, and that young 22-year-old made a long trip down to Moultrie, and he has gotten in his area, which is a little bit more protected from that southeast wind, and he has paid off big time.
He led momentarily just a little bit ago, and this will be the first time he's cashed a check in a B.A.S.S event. Of course, it's only his third. His father has earned $1.9 million in Bassmaster.
You think he got any of that?
Well, yeah,
and allowances.
He probably got a couple allowances, a couple little at a time.
Maybe something like that.
He's gotten some checks via Bass, but just not in his name.
Look how tight it is between Kyle Austin and Laker Howell right there. Just about, as we say, a virtual tie. Those are unofficial numbers right there. And Scott Martin, Next one down the list, but a ways back. For sure, 9 pounds back along with Dakota Ebert. Matt Messer rounding out our top 5 today. As we mentioned to you, everyone's feeling a sense of urgency out there as we're going to fish a foreshortened final day. It's going to end not at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, but at 1 Eastern because the wind is going to kick up. That front has passed through. It's going to shift around and make it, especially for our anglers down in Moultrie, it's going to be a project.
Yeah.
Getting back to the check-in.
Good one sitting there.
Got
Kyle
Luke
Austin
Palmer
did.
here with
Luke Palmer's joining us today, Tommy. Kyle Austin just got his limit when we went to break. That's why he retook the lead. It's just a 2.5. He's got 2 fish under 3 pounds he would love to cull out.
Uh-oh. He said it was a big one sitting there, so. Like we said, he goes from the big rod, 1 ounce spinnerbait it looked like, with a 1/2 or 3/4 ounce trap, and then picks up the spinner rod with braid. He's making me eat my words, ain't he?
We know the effectiveness of that simple do nothing worm on a tree.
Probably help a little bit more.
He had a big one for a second.
Baby. God, he fought like he was 7 pounds. They feisty this morning. I don't know what's going on. Well, it smells as a 2-0 though. I mean, this will make Ronnie have to catch 23 and some change.
Talking about Ronnie McCoy, who started the day in 2nd place, also a Santee Cooper area angler. Ronnie's got a slow start.
Quiet today, yeah.
Very, very slow start for Ronnie
But
McCoy.
he said last night on the phone, I pull into my area and around the 6-foot depth zone, and I start fishing from there in. He said today though, I hit him in the 4-foot range, so I may start in the 4-foot range and go shallower from there and see. So he's got a long way, a couple hundred yards between depth zones, so he's got a long expanse. He's got to really figure it out. Dakota Ebert still needs to fill his limit.
Not worth the time. That's okay. It was fun. I want to go to Classic though. We need them 5-pounders, son. 6, 7-pounders.
It looks all nice and stuff there now, and it wasn't nice
Yeah,
about
it
2
was
hours
nice.
ago.
It was very.
You know.
And Dakota, I believe, is on the south side of the lake, so that's more protected than what the wind could change later. But like you said, it's not the fishing that's bothered by the wind. It's the navigation and safety travel, and you got to consider the 10 anglers, the 10 cameramen in there as well.
Let's get out to Matt Adams, Alabama angler. We spent a lot of time with down at Lake Okeechobee. Had a good tournament down there.
Moultrie looks like it's got a little bit of color to it and stuff too. Normally it seems like it gets really clear.
He was posting a lot before this event and said he was really struggling in practice.
I think that's sometimes a good thing at this lake, so you just go fishing instead of running around everywhere.
Ooh, to keep.
Number 3.
Number 3.
You notice how all their hummingbirds, you know, a lot of them, we have a lot of contours on all of our other lakes. Here it's like just red.
Yeah, it's just at some point, so.
Shallow.
A day like today, you take all you can get.
That's the key deal. I mean, the difference in catching fish in 2 feet of water or 2.5 feet of water is a big deal.
212.
If that's 100 yards difference or 200 yards difference, those fish can pull in and pull out, or they could be swimming and not in a feeding mode. They're just on their way to wherever they're going next.
We got to see Adams finish 5th at Lake Okeechobee, had him on camera, and then he fell off on Ouachita. Down to 18th in points. After this, he's up in our top 3 at this finish.
it's always how low is your lowest tournament going to be? Because Paul Marks had 2 top 10s to start the year, gets 118th after yesterday, and has fallen into, the 14th, 15th place in the points race, and he was leading and looked unbeatable. So if your worst can be a 70th or a 65th, that's the key.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of big names have some bad tournaments here. Ish Monroe, 110th place, was 8th place. He's still in good position at 19th in points.
For sure.
That's as far as he's fallen, just with
I'm
110th though.
I'm still looking at people who moved up to 40th in points.
Oh, yeah.
Because only 3 anglers have had a top 50 in all 3 events. Unlike last year where we had 7, or 10 after a couple events. It's a smaller percent, a lot more variance, in the top 10 now in points-wise.
Yeah, it's about 20-something, 7 more from 1st to 10th than it was last year. There's a little tighter.
And we'll see them start condensing down here. After about 2 more opens, you start you kind of start seeing if you're not within that top 25, your chances are going way down unless you all of a sudden get a 3 the next 5.
Yes. Which is what Tyler Williams did. I think he was 27th with 3 events left. He won 1, got a top 10, and then got 6th or something in his last 3 and makes it.
Yeah, you got to go on one of those top 10 runs where, our J.T. Tompkins and John Garrett and Trey McKinney had all those top 10s. Yeah. They stayed up there. They really pulled away. They didn't even have to. And Robert G. as well was pretty close to not having to do much in the final event.
When you think about after the first event, obviously 50 anglers were in the top 50 after the first event. That's common math that most fishermen and most people can do. Top 50 after the first one, all got in the top 50. After 2 events, only 20 anglers had gotten a top 50 in both tournaments. And now it's only 3. So Santee, for as many big ones were swimming around, it was a flip-flop, no doubt about it. Yeah. I mean, when we're classifying Easton Fothergill's 81st as like a save, a salvage, he's only 5th in points. He didn't drop that far. Yeah. That's saying that a lot of people got triple-digit finishes this week.
Yeah, and that's easy to do at Santee. I mean, you can get in a bad rotation, you can get in a bad ditch or something that the fish had actually moved further or moved out on you, and it's easy to do. I mean, and you're not getting a ton of bites. I mean, you can probably go back and look at all these guys, talk to them. They probably had 6 to 9 bites a day, and if you mess up on 2 of those, and you don't have a limit.
I'm amazed. There's guys like Bobby Bakewell.
Yeah,
he was up from 24th. He only finished 25th to get into the top 10. He's 7th in points right now. There's other guys like that who didn't have that high a finish, but they moved up.
Feels early in the morning, but you got to also consider the clock is ticking. These guys that only have about 3.5 hours fishing time left in this shortened day coming up here. And a great battle at the top. Kyle Austin, Laker Howell. Both of these anglers up their game day 2 over day 1. Kyle Austin by about 6 pounds and Laker Howell by 4. Great stuff from down here in South Carolina. The Yamaha Rightwater's Bassmaster Kayak Series has been a big part of the surge popularity of bass fishing out of a kayak. As a matter of fact, they are having their classic for the year in the Sooner State of Oklahoma down on Lake Tenkiller, March 2021. Same week as the classic up on the Grand Lake of the Cherokee. Scan the QR code there if you'd like to learn more about the kayak series and how you might get involved. Very interesting, and a lot of people enjoying that as a great gateway into fishing for bass. And, why wouldn't it be? Kyle Austin, and with the lead right now, started the day with the lead. Looking to make it to the Bassmaster Elite Series. Came so close back in 2023.
Some of that.
He needed a limit on that final day at the Harris chain that might have done it for him. He had 4 fish on the final day of the season. It all comes down to that. He misses out on the Elite Series qualification. Gets back in the saddle this year. Tommy has a good start at Okeechobee. This is his style of fishing. Grew up here at Santee Cooper. Spends a lot of time on the water, whether it's catfishing or bass fishing, and has been well prepared for this event. Obviously, there's an off-limits portion of 2 weeks or so before each event, so these last 2 weeks he's more so bit his fingernails off waiting for this tournament. And then he's had to manage historical knowledge, in the moment fishing, and what these fishing do. And normally, Luke, locals do not like seeing a big wave of spawners happen during their event because it kind of equalizes their, ability to have an advantage on everybody else.
Oh yeah, when those fish move up, obviously they probably know the better areas, but 5 random fish pull up there and a guy stumbles on them and has a big bag, and your 23 or 4 pounds is nothing to a 28 to 30 pound bag. And that kind of happened here, but Kyle has figured out, he's got on the right stuff. He got on that pre-spawn bite and those fish are sitting there waiting, and he was able to manage that. Normally, that's hard to do.
He said he caught a great 5-fish limit, almost his 24 pounds on day 1 off of that starting spot. And he said, I really didn't expect it to hold up day 2, and then I caught him so good, was able to catch a 6-pounder later to get to 31. I really didn't expect to have it 2 days in a row. So catching a 6+ pounder, a 5.5, and an almost 5-pounder, more than a bonus on this championship Saturday.
Kyle, tell us how your day's going, man.
So far, so good. We had a decent start again. I don't know, we got a little bit over 20 pounds. Right now, I'm on my secondary deal, just trying to catch a big one, but looking at these limbs right here, we're probably going to be taking a boat ride soon. It's cranked up here, and this place gets rough, so I really think I need like 24 pounds to have a good shot. So we're going to try to fish as many little trees as we can and see if we can't catch 2 4-pounders and have that, kind of bag. And if it doesn't work out, man, it's been an awesome week. Anytime I can be on my home pond competing in the Bassmaster Opens and having a shot at the Classic, you can't ask for anything more. So it's been a crazy week, and it is blowing. Holy cow. Insane.
Hard to be accurate with a weightless wacky worm on the base of trees with the wind like it is. So
there might be like 4-footers out on that main lake right about now. Holy cow. They're blowing over out here.
And the camera guy's just loving it. The more he talks about it, he's just like, oh, that's going to be fantastic.
Great. Awesome.
Coop Gallant, the Fish's Elite Series from Canada, he told me that big waves fire him up. And I don't think I can agree with him. This does not fire me up. This makes me want to take ibuprofen and some muscle relaxer to get back across. Whew.
It could be a positive confirmation for him, the fact that he already has 21+ pounds in the boat. That if others haven't gotten off to a good start, that, hey, I've got a good, decent weight before
we're going to shoot to
all this wind hit.
See the little trailing arm of one of these back end side of this front here. It's hitting the lakes right now and causing what's Kyle's getting a little bit concerned about. You might want to listen to a guy who's out here every day, and he says, I may take a boat ride soon. He knows what can happen out there.
But I guess it's probably blowing right into Talcall, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like from that, whether it's the southeast or direct south, it's blowing.
Tell us about this move you're making.
Yeah, I'm just moving right across the creek, trying to get out the wind. There's a few locals in this area. I'm just trying to hit high percentage places. I mean, I have fished these trees out here, a billion times, so I'm just going to fish ones that I think have a good shot at catching a giant, and we're going to keep rolling. It's right now our decision is going to be when we're going to head back across, because it's really starting to bring the heat out there now. It was actually beautiful about an hour ago, but we're just going to slide right here real fast.
You got to watch out for those locals.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, those who might even sign up for the tournament.
He's a local.
Huge shout out to the cameramen who are out there.
Absolutely, man.
Tom
They're the
specifically is with Kyle, but there's 9 other cameramen out here with the anglers. You have drone operators, you have photographers out there as well. So tournament staff setting up.
Second place right behind him there, Laker Howell.
Which you think the chatterbait deal, the wind would be okay.
Yeah.
You know, even though his is actually a lot more protected than
For sure.
any, you know, almost about any wind, you know, so he's going to be able to fish, but
One of these trees the other day.
when it is blowing hard, regardless, it's not as fun to fish, or it's tougher. You know, luckily he's just fan casting. He's not throwing directly to a tree, so I think that it can't hurt him any.
Laker might be one of those guys who's like, I felt the wind blowing today, but when he pulls the troll motor up to leave, he's going to turn the corner.
As far as how
When
many
he comes out of there,
big ones you've caught off of them, and
well, when he gets through the
tournaments you might have
canal,
won or stuff like that.
it'll be a different ball game when he gets cutting across
must
there.
be
He'll
the
be
sweet
fine,
spot,
you know, hugging the
a lot of
bank,
local boats in here.
running back until you hit that boat lane. When he hits that boat lane about midway through it, and then to turn to go to talk off, she's gonna be rolling.
Right now he's got the biggest bag of the day, 23.7 on Bass Track. 2 fish right around 6 pounds and another 5 and a 4 1/4. Still got a small
really
tube.
cypress trees. The Tupelos, it doesn't have a lot of character on the bottom of them. Very slender. They really like to spawn around them. It's kind of a little pattern you can get on every once in a while.
You can tell how.
Holy crap.
And he's still skipping that worm up there.
I don't even know if I can
know
make
he
it
had
up
that
to
put
the
up.
creek.
Days like this, fish don't know you're coming though, Luke, because they can't even hear anything else other than the wind under the water, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It masks your noise really well.
It's gonna blow Laker out of the boat.
Yeah, he looked like he was going to take flight there for a minute. I don't
Guarantee you. Oh, those are the frustrating times. You know, when you're looking to try to win one, and then you have a weather system come through, and it's like.
He didn't get it for some reason.
You know, I think that probably actually hurt Kyle some. You know, that wind blowing against the current slows it down a little bit. I mean, I know that's a big thing. We go up. I'm not a big current guy, but we go to the St. Lawrence River. When the wind blew a different way down that river, the fish would almost like as they'd shut off in a way, you know, especially when we were trying to drift back, you know, we actually drifted the current. And if it was blowing against it, you were just like dead in the water. And it was weird to have to try to learn how to do that. And, you know, I think that, like he said, it was just swirling this current. I think that might have broke that school of fish up a little bit instead of keeping them right there where they were at.
It's amazing how just a little bit more wind or a little bit less wind or a little bit more current, and those seams are so definitive. You could have, someone can look there and be like, look at that water coming right there, but then on a day like this, when it does swirl, you're not quite sure where that cast is.
Please, got it. No. I could actually see him on live scope swimming around the base of that tree, and it looks like the right one sitting up there.
Looks like we've got a move. Ronnie McCoy started the day just inside of Moultrie. Made a move and on this side of Utahville in the Brickyard.
He's getting into the good juice.
Another one of our local anglers.
Started a pound back of the lead. Now he's 10th.
Water over here is a lot clearer than where I've been fishing. Now,
what are you tying on there?
so I'm tying on a jig, just a 7/16 ounce homemade jig. It's got a Zoom Z-Cross trailer on it. Got a little old dyed chartreuse, just for a little flare in case one of them big girls like to get excited over color. And just gonna try to, I guess, slow down a little bit and pitch in some of these trees. These fish should be in here spawning on some of these trees, so it's a good area. We'll see what happens.
Let's say Ronnie McCoy is our senior member out there among the 10 who graduated to championship Saturday, and he knows this place, obviously, like no one else.
49 bags over 20 pounds yesterday. You know, that just speaks to how well this lake's fishing right now. What a phenomenal fishery it is.
That's a big one. We found a blimp.
We've got grass coming back into the lake. You know, you've got cypress trees. You've got a lot of offshore structure. You can pretty much pick how you want to fish and do well on this lake.
Well, today it's a huge regular season finale on Fox. First, 10th rate Creighton takes on Villanova at 2:30 Eastern Time. Then at 5, 8th ranked Marquette battles Xavier. And in primetime, 2nd ranked UConn facing Providence. All tips off later today on Fox. You watched Fox weather this morning before you got over here. You saw a lot of people in the country are getting to deal with some heavy weather during the course of this day, just all the way from Texas up to basically Newfoundland. And no exception here in this corner of South Carolina. We've had some big storms moving through, mostly passed through, but the aftermath of those storms, the winds that are expected, are causing us to have a shortened day today. It will end at 1. The check-in time is going to be 1 Eastern Time and not 2:30. So that's part of everyone's adjusted game plan. All our 10 who are left out here on Championship Saturday, including our winner at the first St. Croix Bassmaster Open down at Okeechobee. That was 5 weeks ago. It doesn't seem 5 weeks ago.
We've done 19 tournaments in those 5 weeks, Tommy.
I think so.
No, this does mark the end of the 3rd Open this season. We've had 2 elites, had 3 college events.
Ooh. Uh-oh. Suit, you said he was a pretty good ways back still, though, isn't he? 8 or 9 pounds, or it was.
Oh yeah, big fish. Big fish.
Yeah, he was.
Yes,
was.
He was.
That could be the big number there was. You said it was big. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
Wow.
no. Come here, buddy. Yeah! Woo! That is awesome, dude. First cast with the drop shot. I was like, you know what might work? Drop shot. First cast, guys. Look at that. Dude, it fell out. Look, it fell out. I knew that was a big one, dude. Yes! That was called an adjustment. We sat on this fish. We sat on it. We sat.
Wow.
That's like a 6.5 pounder. I said, dude, it's chasing. I know I can catch this fish. It wouldn't. I had it on for a minute. I said, drop shot. I said, maybe first cast. I bet it. Yes, dude.
That's a big one too. So
it's like Santee. Awesome. You know, my dad grew up here, and he fished this lake years and years, and he still hadn't told me any spots. Dude, that's for you, Pops.
He could win another Open.
Little spinning rod action.
I mean, he's legit.
He could be a double qualifier with only
Just
3 people
happened.
qualified for the Classic. Scott
6'10",
Martin, Jeremiah
baby.
Kinney, Scott Martin.
6'10". Let's go. Dude. They left at the wrong time, didn't they? Dude. Dude, that is awesome. Man, today's been a good day. Today's gonna be a good day. I tell you, it's I gotta give a shout out right now to my wife, because she has been praying. She's been just doing awesome, and she's the main, number one, bar none reason I'm able to keep my head on straight. So thank you, honey, for all the support for 20-something years out here. It's tough. I've been on the road for 21 days. 2 Bassmaster elites, and then now this one. That's not an easy job at all for any woman, but my wife is special. Been married 25 years, and I love you, so.
Laker Howell and Kyle Austin kind of had the top to themselves. Someone else has joined the fight up there, just two pounds back approximately is Scott Martin. Now that was a 6'10", I think, wasn't it, Such, or 6'11"?
Was 6'10", yeah, and he's got that 7'2" from earlier.
So, and like you said, he's got 4 fish.
Yeah, he's got the most headroom of anything. After Chad Grigsby. Chad did not like the scene at his place where he started today. It didn't work out for him.
Big one.
Yeah, that was one of those mushy ones, like you said right there. You seen him kind of just pull into the fish.
Stay out of that grass. She's hooked good. No, she's not. I thought she was. Yeah, she is. Get her, baby. Yeah, baby. Woohoo! That's what we're looking for right there. Yeah, she's hooked good. That's more like it.
What's your number, Daddy?
What's that?
What's the bait?
Jackhammer, baby. And about 10 yards back there, I lost one about the same size. But we got this one, so I don't think we need to weigh her. Well, let's just find out, why not? Maybe they moved up. $6.13. That was fun.
Luke, they're all Florida string, but they just look longer at Santee Cooper for some reason to me.
They are, but it's like they're just thick. Yeah. Every one of them is. You know,
great day.
I caught that 9.
We're definitely just moved up in the world.
You know, it looked like a crappie.
I caught
this long and
6,
deep,
whatever
so
it was, just a minute ago. But
there's built different
like
there.
10 casts before that, I lost one the same size. But I mean, that's part of fishing. She just hit so close to the boat. I couldn't turn her, and she was just really mad. And she pulled off, and then it wasn't even 10 casts later, I caught a 612. So it definitely helps. Obviously, we still got a lot of work to do, but I think we're at least around them, and we're out of the wind finally. Actually, I think the wind might be switching a little bit now. But it was fun, so we're gonna keep plugging along. Same old thing, catching them on a jackhammer. They're up here spawning. I'm in 1.5 feet of water. Just hopefully we're gonna run it across a couple more. I can't see them, they're spawning, but I can't. It'd be a bad day for sight fishing anyway, but I'm not looking at them. So we'll just keep plugging along, see if we can catch 4 more just like that, and see what happens at the end of the day. We're gonna have fun doing it.
Chad moving up into 4th place. Fish like that'll brighten your day.
Tells you how big the lake is. Other side of the lake, they're getting blasted by rain and wind, and it doesn't even look like the same place where he's at, and he's just across the lake from him.
You know, a win would be great, obviously. That's one of my goals for the year, is to make the Classic, and this is the way to do it through the Open. So that would definitely be nice. Obviously the money's nice, but I'm not really thinking about that. I'm just trying to do my job, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, hey, we're in the top 10. All we can fall is the 10th. So we're just gonna have some fun, see if we can catch 4 more like that. And we may not catch another bass, but we're gonna have some fun.
This is definitely Chad's best outing of the year. Had a 99th to start out at Okeechobee. We're really rebounded at Ouachita, where it wasn't easy to rebound with 40th spot. So he's in our top 20 for points.
Another little ditch coming up right there.
Everybody talks about the Classic. That just shows you how big of a deal the Classic is.
You hear more mentions of that than you do of making it to the Elite Series.
Got some big names, we got some former pros, we got some new names in our top 5 right now, Tommy.
Absolutely. Kyle Austin, of course, started top of everything today. Stayed in there, but Chad Grigsby moving up into 4th place with that 612, I think that went in as. Yeah. 612 bass.
That's what we're looking for right there.
Good turnaround for his morning. Started out, his starting spot was not what he wanted. And Scott Martin, man, There's no quit in him. He just keeps catching big fish this year.
We got a Minnesota angler, we got a Florida angler, Alabama and South Carolina in our top 4, Tommy. A little diversity there.
See a little diversity in approaches too, which is always fun. Laker Howell, our first look at him here on the open scene, and man, he's impressive. I can say that.
Got a little bit of Lake Marion, the upper lake, a little bit of Lake Moultrie, the lower lake, all producing here at Santee Cooper.
Some of that.
Austin kind of working around the ends of the canal that connects them both. So we're seeing a lot of the Santee Cooper complex today. More to come. St. Croix Bassmaster Open going on right here. Whoever wins this tournament gets automatic entry into the 2025 Bass Pro Shops Bassmaster Classic presented by Jockey Outdoors. That's going to be at Lake Ray Roberts. But in 2 weeks, we start the 2024 version. Great place. Grand Lake of the Cherokees, Tulsa, Oklahoma, the host city. It is going to be a monster. March 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. A 3-day tournament which determines the world champion, the one who sits on top of the mountain and reigns for a year. And in more cases than not, in the last 10 years, it's been back-to-backers that have populated that spot.
We added Jeff Gustafson, and whoever the classic champ is, their jersey hangs here in studio for us to see when we come in. And I said, Jeff, you got either 2 more weeks on the wall, or you'll have another year and 2 more weeks, depending on it's up to you, Jeff.
That's right.
Gussie, and he said, I'll do my best to keep it up there another year.
Luke, how do you expect fishing to be for the Classic? We're going to have mild temperatures heading up and a little cold mornings. But
yeah, I think it's going to be good. It's going to be we're going to be ahead of what we normally would be in March. Normally mid-March we're still cold. We're looking at the upper 40s, low 50s. But I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be really a neat Classic. A lot of different techniques are going to take place, and I hope it's my technique that does the best, though.
Will there be forward-facing sonar?
There will be some of that, regardless.
Sure.
I don't think it'll be it's going to be a big player, obviously, but it won't be as much as it would be the last couple of tournaments, I don't think.
Talking about dominating everybody in the top 10, doing that, things like that.
We need, but
Matt Messer adding his 3rd keeper. Every hour or so, Messer lands one, and we were talking about it. That jersey, we put it on the wall. Jeff Gustafson, our 2023 Bassmaster Classic champion, winning for the 2nd time on that body of water, the Tennessee River in Knoxville. And we've got quite a few list of short names. You could go, Tommy, Jason Christie, because he's the local favorite there, looking to get some redemption. Hank Cherry's trying to get redemption. Brandon Polinick. Luke Palmer's an Oklahoma angler. Kenta Kamira lives there. There's so many anglers that you could put on maybe a favorites list for this Classic.
Luke, throw us out a dark horse possibility to win this Classic, to take it all.
I'd probably almost throw myself in there as a dark horse on that body of water.
You're kind of too good to be a dark horse.
I don't know about that. Now, Kenta's been fishing really well the last couple of years. He's kind of that quiet guy, kind of does his little thing, and all of a sudden, boom, he's up there, and he's good. But I don't know. I can't really think.
He's gotten a 2nd and an Open in the fall there as well, I believe.
And it's a great fishery, Grand is. But trying to sustain to catch 19, 20 a day is very tough in Oklahoma. To do it, back-to-back days is one thing, but if you can do it all 3 days, that's a very big accomplishment. But that time of year, that can really happen. 5 or 6 bites a day at Grand can be 20 to 25 pounds. You don't have to have a ton of bites there to do really well. So I think that's going to feed into somebody like Kenta, who's really a good grinder. I'd probably go with Kenta.
And I like that pick for one, but then for 2, this lake Grand sets up very interesting because it's almost 3 lakes in one. You have the bottom end of the lake, Shangri-La, Horse Creek down, and it's much deeper, a lot more bluff, vertical banks, those pockets. If you're 1 boat length off the bank, it's 30 feet of water. And then you get to that mid-lake portion just around the Wolf Creek to Shangri-La region, it kind of looks like a regular lake. Mm-hmm. There's some flats, there's some depth changes, there's deep water, there's shallow water. And then when you get above Wolf Creek, it's the rivers, whether it's the Neosho, the Elk, or the Spring, And it's it's almost a pick your poison. And we saw last time we had a Classic there, Edwin Evers did it 3 days, 3 different areas. So do you think that's something that you'll have to balance, is switching up regions, or will you be able to hunker into an area?
I think you will be able to, but I think with the weather being kind of pretty stationary, I mean, not stationary, but it's been pretty consistent the last couple weeks, and it's even looking consistent coming into the Classic. I think, you know, we kind of talked earlier, a guy that we didn't think the river normally would play as much. The river may actually really play good this time. I mean, you know, especially when you get up past the Elk, when you actually get up there in the river part of it. I talk about.
That was kind of the mouth of the Elk. There,
You know, I think
29 pounds.
Didn't Hackney do pretty well? I think Hackney done well up there.
He spent some time in there. Sure did.
Up north. And then, but then you, like you said, then you had Aaron Martin's plumb down at the dam.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you said, it's a pick your poison. But I think that time of the year you're going to be able to do what you want. If you want to get up shallow and go throw a spinnerbait on laydowns, you can run up the river and do it. If you want to go crank bluff banks or throw a jerk bait, you're going to be able to do that. Because the water temperature is going to vary. I imagine it's probably going to be anywhere from 52 to 58, 59 degrees, depending on the weather. But that's, so I mean, you know, at the dam, it's obviously going to be a little bit cooler than it will be up the river. So it's going to be pick your poison, and I'm really looking forward to it. I didn't think Grand was going to be kind of a player that I would like too much, but the way it's setting up, it could really set up really well for a bunch of different guys. I mean, because you can see the field that we have coming. You've got guys that are extremely good shallow water guys, and you got guys who are on the exact opposite end of the spectrum who love to fish deep. You know, I mean, it's going to be the battle of the you know, upper and lower. You know, that one. So it'll be kind of neat.
We like that. That's good stuff. All kinds of coverage coming up right here on FS1, also on the Fox Network, Saturday and Sunday both. It's going to be some good stuff.
It'd be super cool to see a topwater bite, a sight fishing bite, a brush pile bite if they want it.
We live for that.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd be surprised. Like sometimes a buzzbait early that time of year will get you one or two of them giants. And so don't be surprised if that water doesn't get on up there a little bit that you don't see. I'm not saying I'll have one on my deck, but Christy might have one.
Speaking of Christy, in Group A, he's picked by 37% of the people. You're picked by 10% in Group A. You're in Group A behind Walters at 25 and Brennan Palnick at 12. So people are thinking you're going to do well there.
Well, the last time they said I was going to do well somewhere was at Lay Lake, and I see where I ended up there. So
my fantasy team, appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was
Such is not trying to
I
put
did
the kiss
set that one up though. We pick our drain the lake teams, Such, Tommy, and I, all before the season starts for every tournament. So I didn't know you were going to win the event before Lay Lake. So I had you there, and I was like, does he keep it going 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back on my word and change it. I got to keep it the same. But man, I was hoping he'd use it there instead of Santee.
I had him for drain, but not. Then I picked him for fantasy the next event. Unfortunately, and we talked about that you just kind of lost focus, or
I don't know. I didn't have a good practice at all at Lay, and I mean I really didn't. I mean I was struggling to get bites. I did stupid stuff, you know, and just didn't understand what I needed to do there, I guess. Never got a feel for the lake. I went up there in pre-practice for a couple of days, but the water was, heck, up the river. They were blowing current through it. It was like 4 foot high up the river, and that was not the case when we were there.
Yeah.
But, you know, you live and learn. Went away from stuff that I normally do and tried doing stuff I don't do, and that's what got my teeth kicked.
kind of got it back going in the next event, though.
Yeah, it took me a little while, but I had to do it up north, which is not really where I thought I was going to do it. But I knew Champlain was going to be fun. I really like Champlain, but I did not think me losing 4-pounders on the fourth or third day of St. Lawrence River is going to cost me making the top 10. Like I was just kind of horsing them because I was like, 20 pounds is not going to do anything for me. Well, one of those fish would have bumped me to the top 10. So, but you know, that's part of it.
Just saw Laker Hal catch one that was would not help, so he put that one back. So he stands there in second place, just ounces behind Kyle Austin. Unofficial weights there by a Bass track. Scott Martin, having joined the fray at the top, those three leading the way, and time is ticking away. We're going to wrap it up at 1 Eastern time. 1 Eastern time is check-in time, owing to the weather. Grigsby, Ebert, Messer, and the rest We'll be right back. What a place for the St. Croix Bassmaster Open. Santee Cooper Lakes, presented by 7, just one of the big bass meccas of the world. 7 sponsoring our live coverage here. We appreciate that. Just a great week these anglers have had here just from day one. I mean, taking off with almost 50 20-pound bags on day one. We've had the 30 cracked a couple of times during the course of this event as well. Started with 220-something anglers, 223 I think it was, and we are down to 10 pros on this final day. Some of them just fishing the Division 1 of the Opens this year. Some of them fishing the EQs, trying to do all 9 events, find a pathway to the Bassmaster Elite Series, the top there. There's second and third place, Laker Howell. Second on the right. Second on the left, I should say, and Scott Martin third.
Looks like Scott's got the old devil horse out. Something along those lines.
With 4 fish, he's only 2 pounds, 2 ounces back of the lead.
One fish here is,
wow.
I mean, just going with averages, but it's probably going to be a 4-pounder, you know.
Really?
So it's far from over, even though time's a ticking on them, but it's neat when you can say that. You know?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, up in like we're St. Lawrence River or something, it's okay. Your chances to come back from 6-7 pounds behind is very slim.
Right.
Very slim. You know, someone's going to have to stumble, and they're not going to stumble up there.
Point,
so,
yeah.
so here it can. I mean, you can get in the wrong little ditch at the wrong time, or get in there at the right time, and you know, Scott just at one spot. You know, he caught 2 or 3 keeper, just wham, wham, wham. So, you know. And Laker might hit one of those little pockets, that little depression in this flat, and catch him an 8 or 9 pounder, and all of a sudden he's really, and you know, he can really get up to the lead then. I mean, I know he's in second now, but
yeah.
What's his smallest fish? Has he got like a
6 ounces back? His smallest is a 2-1 on Bass Track.
So
for who?
The rest are
for
4.
Laker. Yeah, smallest for Kyle is also a 2-pounder. So they both have something to call, while Scott still needs to add one to his 5-fish limit.
Yeah, Kyle's got 2 of those little ones, 2-3 and a 2-9.
Some of Laker Howell's action from earlier today. Started out with a small one, 2-1, then a 4-4 came into the boat. Everything brightened up at that point.
Laker's been in Lake Moultrie, utilizing a chatterbait. He's been in what we would call the hatchery, which is a very protected area, but overall a huge, vast area that's really shallow. And so the big problem, it seems like, and I talked to Ronnie McCoy about this, who was also fishing in Moultrie this morning, it seems like the ceiling for bag weight is higher at Moultrie than it is at Marion, but the opportunity to bomb, it's so much more volatile, because if that water drops out a little bit, they've got to go hundreds of yards. They got to go half a mile to get to safe water level, and they get in a non-feeding mood. So the fact that the water has stayed stable for 3 straight days is hard to imagine, but it has for these anglers.
Yeah, that was another thing that, you know, you say those fish are very, very worrisome to that water level, and that happened to our elite. That the water really dropped out in Moultrie, and that diversion canal, it's so narrow. It's kind of like, was it what lake did West Logan win on? Neely Henry.
Yeah.
It was like a bubble.
Yeah.
Like the lower lake, I was like, well, heck, the lower lake's going to be high too. No,
Every day,
it's
some new
4
fish
foot low.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
kind of the same thing happened here.
Today I've caught 3 of the ones I need. I've got one 3.5 pounder that I need to get rid of, and then I need to finish up my limit. So I need 2 more big ones to have a shot at this thing. But I like where we're at. I like our pace. You know, just taking my time. There's sand holes in here, and there's some fish up on the bank as well. Got a couple other areas too. So we've got a short day today, so I got to manage my time just right. I can't get in my normal slow pace. I got to kind of pick it up just a little bit. We got to be in at 1 o'clock, so 12:30 the day's gonna be over, and that's not too long away actually. So we got to get going. Oh my gosh! I just looked at the clock. We gotta get busy.
2 more hours of fishing time, according to Scott, before coming in. He's in Potato Creek. He doesn't need 30 minutes, but that's a good little.
Yeah, it's probably, it's not about a 10 or 12 minute ride, but he might be planning for the wind too, because if he comes out of there, it could be bumpy for sure. But it looks like it's not. Like we said, it's like the weather. A little push of rain comes through, the wind blows like crazy, then it kind of slacks off, and then
it's like it's rotating. It's in the process of rotating right now, so it got real quiet, real calm.
So I'm wondering if if the sun would pop out, that wind could dang sure blow.
That's specifically what tournament director Hank Weldon said this morning on the phone was, if that thunderstorm passes by much quicker and it does get sunny, that the wind that's going to be pushing that new system in is the wind that we're worried about.
This thing is getting tight. Like, I'm getting antsy about it. Like, I mean, it's one fish here or there is going to be the change of, the destiny for one of these guys at the Classic. It won't be for Scott. He'll just be double qualified then, but.
Yeah, just imagine there's 3 qualifiers for the Bassmaster Classic and 2 named Scott Martin, because he would double qualify before we really have a 3rd qualifier. Him and Jeremiah Kendi.
Luke, these guys, and I'm sure you're one of them, all have a sort of a sixth sense about where they stand versus the rest of the field at any given day of a tournament. I mean, is someone going to say, "Oh, I gotta take a risk. I gotta do something dramatic at the end, risk not getting back in time"? Is that a possible scenario?
That's going to be for one or two of these guys. Yeah, I'm saying, and it's going to be Laker. Is going to be the last second guy because he's the furthest away and he knows. But if he would accidentally get to 27, 28 pounds in the next 30 minutes, he might be like, okay, I'm not going to go beat myself to death. I'm going to get back in plenty of time.
Matt Messer in that same category, because he only is getting a fish every hour, hour and a half, if he's pushing it at the end of the day and he finally gets a limit or he's got 4, I got to stay here just a little longer, and then you're going to see him have to push it to come back.
And that's one thing about Santee. Look at these guys. They're all committed to areas. They're not running around, We did say McCoy, he moved from Moultrie up? Or who was it you
McCoy.
said? McCoy.
Ron started down there.
He's the only one that's made a run besides Kyle. He went from the bottom, but that was a more of a planned deal. He had a one spot and he's coming back. So. Chad's starting to pick it up. He gets 1 or 2 more bites here, and he's going to be right there in the mix.
Yeah, got one early, and his area kind of quit on a little bit. Didn't like the color and everything. Made some moves.
Said that bank grass, whether it's not necessarily water willow, it's weird pencil grass. Like he said, he calls it yard grass. It's literally
like round grass.
Grass you'd see in your backyard. He said, I've just been catching fish around that. And it's kind of the only thing they have other than eelgrass off the bank. So if there's any fish near the bank that aren't, under some kind of lily pads, it's around that kind of grass. And so he's been using a chatterbait all week on that. And he mentioned, I've been at this thing 23 years. And I said, you've been at pro fishing longer than most of our elite rookies this year are old, And so I said that you're one of the older guys out there. What would it mean to make the Bassmaster Classic? And he said, dude, I've won a lot of things. I've fished a long time and been on the elites and didn't do too hot. I would love to make it back to the elites, but first and foremost, I'd love to be able to fish in the Bassmaster Classic.
One big bite. He's 8-6 back of the lead on 4 fish. We've seen a lot of big fish this week at 10-3.
Right. Far from over here today. I think that's the underlying message we're picking up here. Who's going to be able to stick it out the longest at a place that's producing for them? That's one of the questions to be answered. Lots of other questions as well, and the clock is ticking in the background. I'm going to wrap it up early today on Santee. Better get some big ones. Championship day of the St. Croix Bassmaster Open at Santee Cooper Lakes, presented by 7 Reels. That is our unofficial standings right there, with Kyle Austin, the native of this area, on top there, but just by ounces ahead of Laker Howell. Those two very close, tightly locked up together. They had the top to themselves for a while. Scott Martin, in the past hour, has hoisted himself up into a tight 3rd there. Chad Grigsby, that turnaround from a slower start this morning. We spent some time also with Dakota Ebert, Matt Messer, Matt Adams, and all the rest. A lot of these guys have gotten their work done, Ronnie, in some sense by just being in the points.
100%. Evan Kung, one of our guys in the top 10, has had 2 great events leading into this. He had a 17th place finish at Okeechobee, a 9th place finish at Lake Ouachita. So no matter, even though he started the day in 6th, if he falls to 10th, it is a job well done for Canadian Evan Kung. He's had some issues with his camera, like we said, a lot of rain and moisture, wind out there on Santee Cooper, but Evan with a few fish this morning, and one big deal for him is he fished the Opens last year. He fished all of them, didn't have the best go of it, was really getting his feet here in the States, figuring out what he needed to do for his identity and personality, and we see him switching it up from something we saw at Ouachita. We saw him deep water, using his forward-facing sonar, but here fishing up on the bank, probably for sight fish as well throughout the week. So Evan having a great tournament. Like we said, only 3 anglers remain who have had consistent finishes to start the year. 3 top 50s for Evan Kung, and that is why he is your Tackle Warehouse Elite Qualifier points race leader a third of the way through the season, trailing or beating Dakota Ebear by about 25 points.
We got our Tackle Warehouse EQ qualifier, Elite Qualifier scoreboard up there, and yeah, there you see Evan on top there and Dakota Ebear out there today. If you're doing good today, you were up there in the points, depending on how you did at the first couple of events. Matt Adams, also great start for him down at Okeechobee. Mike Sermon.
Look at Mike Sermon,
who's an Okeechobee guy who started great at Ouachita.
Yeah, and that's actually his worst finish. He led day 1 of Ouachita and had his worst finish of the year because he fell off to 68th on day 2. But hanging out there, he's fished over 240 professional level tournaments in his career, but only 17 with B.A.S.S. And he's so long in his career, but has jumped over to try to make the Elite Series, make the Classic, sitting in a good spot. And then he's got one of the youngest prodigies right behind him, Easton Fothergill, to wrap out our top 5.
A lot of diversity on that Tackle Warehouse leaderboard, EQ leaderboard. Back out to Scott Martin.
Got a bunch of ties in the top 10 and then top 15 just below.
This could be big. And the way that fish is moving, it sounds like a good one.
All right.
There's a limit.
Got a limit in the head. Oh my gosh. It's a 2-pounder. We got a limit now. Okay.
It is getting tight at the top.
Ooh. 3 guys within a half a pound.
Wow.
Okay, you probably need to put him on the little side because he might get eaten if he gets thrown in there with the big one.
That's right.
2 pounds.
I was gonna say Scott was way too laid back to be where he was talking. I was like, I'd be on the front deck slinging and bringing. You got 4. I'm gonna have to keep getting after it.
So Laker Howell now has been bumped down into 3rd place, but they are all so close together.
Yeah, he is 1 5-pound bite away from his Classic.
Oh,
absolutely. You know, I mean, that's...
His father texted me, it was a 9-pound bite. 1 9-pound bite, and he'd feel better about his son making the Classic.
Yeah.
They're en route to the weigh-in. They're going to try to, with that hour and a half earlier check-in. Any troopers that see them, just let them go on. Just know that they're in good hands.
Is this going to help him with
there? That's going to be marginal.
That morning period, even though it's sight fishing oriented, spawn-based tournament, there's still a significant morning bite for those who have been using those moving baits, using chatterbaits, lipless spinnerbaits. So that feeding window is still so evident, whether it's been cloudy, sunny, windy, rainy, it doesn't matter. That morning period has been huge for these anglers.
Shaking his head, no help.
That one is not going to do it, not going to make the team.
I think those fish in the morning that ones are throwing moving baits by on the spawn, those females are more susceptible to being at lower light condition. They'll go ahead and bite. You know, when it's kind of up in the day, it seems like they won't, you know, eat the moving baits as good as they will, you know, something slowing down like Parker's doing, you know.
Parker with 3 in the boat as it stands right now. Could be number 4. Should be.
Number 4. Right on to a 1/2 pounder.
It's crazy when you don't get pumped up if it's not over 5 pounds. You know, every bite, it's got to be just a giant.
Just a matter of time for one of them big old females gets it.
Well, he thinks he's around some spawners. He told us that first thing this morning. Time is a key thing. It becomes more important as the clock ticks away here.
Dakota fishing up in the trees here? Or? It's kind of neat seeing how much different type stuff is going on. You know, it's kind of fun because, I mean, like they talked about, you can kind of go fish kind of how you want to. It's like, you know, if you like to go throw a trap type bait, you can go throw that in the grass. If you want to go throw a wacky worm around the trees, you can do that, or sight fish. You know, it's a really a special place as far as the lake sets up. It's really neat.
We take for granted that we've got Lake Howell in the south, the southeast corner of this fishery at Lake Moultrie. We've got Matt Messer on the opposite end of Lake Moultrie. You've got Dakota Eber on the south side of Marion. You've got Kyle Austin, who's been all over Marion so far this morning and in the diversion canal. 4 camera views with 50 miles in between each shot. You know what I'm saying? They're spread far and wide this week.
Did anybody come out of the stump hole, I guess, really? I wonder. You know, normally
no one survived from up there, no.
That's normally that's always a major player, it seems like, up there to go up there and catch them, but they just move so much you have to really find them.
And with the wind forecast, not that deterred people, but man, that's the one place that there's nothing protect. You know,
fall. Whenever we fished up there were several of us. I know Clark was up there.
Frank Talley.
We were all, I don't know how many were in there fishing. We'd just see each other once every hour. You'd see somebody. But I remember I left a little bit early, and I said, that wind feels like it's not that strong in here. And I remember coming through the bridge, and, you know, you have to run the bank. And we were getting that off those seawalls, that backwash. Mm-hmm. And I know I've never seen so many guys coming in with their graphs laying on their front decks, rods, because they all, you know, it's only like a 20-minute run, but it was bad.
Laker Howell, been watching him all day. Very impressive young man, great personality and everything. Imagine how impressionable he was 10 years ago when his dad won the Bassmaster Classic 2014 at Guntersville. He wants to get there.
My name is Laker Howell. I'm from Guntersville, Alabama, and my goal fishing the Opens is to make the Elite Series. My dad is Randy Howell, former Elite Pro. He won the Classic in 2014, and that's my ultimate goal, is to make it to the Classic and try to win that and be one of the, I think, 3 or 4 father-sons that have fished the Classic together. So that'd be a really cool, that's a big dream of mine, to be on that Classic stage.
Tomorrow on Fox, the NASCAR Cup Series gets heated as the best drivers in the world take on the Jewel of the Desert in Phoenix. Pre-race begins 2:30 Eastern, with the engines firing at 3:30 Sunday on Fox. Racing the clock here. Santee Cooper Complex here in South Carolina.
Crazy, Tommy, to see that feature about Laker Howell talking about his dad's Classic win a decade ago, and he's the kid who was in the back waving the flag.
Man, yeah. I mean, he's all in on the Classic. You know that's right. And what was he? Would have been 10 years old, something, 4th grader then, something like that.
And to see his even younger brother in the front of the boat, sitting in the bottom of the boat, he's dunking in high school basketball now. You're like, that's crazy.
Time passes quickly.
He's about 6'4" now. It seems Laker has at least 6'5", 6'6", something. He's very tall.
Yeah, he stands over his old man, I'll tell you that.
There's young Laker, back of the boat right there, and then his other brother in the front, Oakley. What a Classic that was, too, Tommy. That was my first ever Classic working with B.A.S.S.
Yeah, I remember that Classic. It was great effort all 3 days for Randy, but that final day on that bridge there.
Yeah, he just spun around and.
Yeah, he turned around. He was going one way and made a U-turn and said something. I just feel something, and that bridge was gold. Had people lined up watching him.
And then it was a few years later, Hank Cherry's sitting on the same bridges.
Yeah.
You know, and ended up winning the Classic in there doing that too. So I'm waiting for him to bow up on a big one. He hadn't just.
Yeah, well, good, like a 7-8, something like that.
Something.
I mean, come on,
let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of, you know, Scott's caught them a couple of decent fish, but it's kind of that mid-morning lull like we've talked about. That
someone's going to get a difference maker when no one else is catching one for sure.
Scott Martin has the biggest bag on Bass Track at 24 pounds, 4 ounces. Laker Howell, 23.7. Kyle Austin's over 21.10, and they're all within 6 ounces of each other on their totals.
Scott's probably on one right now that could change the whole day.
No kidding.
Because they all have a 2-pounder pretty much.
She's
or 2 of them in their box.
Here's the male.
Uh-oh.
That's the male.
The male doesn't look small.
Oh, gosh. Dang it.
They'll go.
That'll put him in the lead. Right?
Yeah, I think it will.
Yes, sir.
It definitely will.
That's a 3-pounder.
What, I got a 2-pounder? 2-pounder, right? My small one. Sometimes you can catch the male. You can catch the female after you catch the male. I've done that plenty of times this week. It's a 3.9. Supposed to be about 1.5 pounds. Let's just keep it. A lot of times she'll bite immediately afterwards.
Unlike last week when Scott was fishing the Elite Series, you had to send the male back at Fort and special
exactly. That was a concern
catch, weigh, and
for some
release.
guys.
So he gets to.
Yeah, because a lot of times we'll catch that male, and if he's real aggressive, as soon as you put him back in the water, he's straight back up on the bed.
And Scott kind of has a first place finish at Okeechobee, then he didn't have a good Toledo bend, barely missed the cut at Lake Fork, and then back up here. So he's kind of booking 2 tough elites for his expectations with really, really good opens. And so
at Okeechobee, his dad had won 33 years earlier.
She's giant.
Now
If I show her to you on the
rolling
thing,
one
you're
in
gonna trip,
75. Almost 50 years earlier.
She's this big
Can
on
he
the
do
screen.
it again?
The
Scott
screen's
Martin?
about this big, and she's this big on the screen. I knew that was the male. It's a new fish.
Scott Martin now leads with 79 even. He's 3rd place all-time opens total weight.
Wow.
Yeah, he has first, and there's Gerald Swindle, and then him again. But it is far from over.
You know, Kyle's, I mean, in my mind, if I'm Kyle, it's going through his head. You know, he's like, okay, I've got pretty good weight, but he knows he needs another 4 or 5 pounder to go in there to still have a shot.
Yeah, he's got two pounders.
Yeah.
One he put in his 2.3, and one is 2 pounds 9 ounces.
Yeah.
So 2 culls, and he's
4 pounds worth of upgrade would make you feel way better.
Big time. How far was Scott behind him? Was he a couple pounds or?
Scott started the day with 53 pounds, 3 ounces. He was 212 behind Kyle Austin. He was 9 ounces behind Laker Howell. Laker was 2 pounds, 3 ounces behind Kyle Austin.
And if that was a male off that bed, there's no telling how big the female could be that's sitting on that.
Now Martin's bag is 25.13 right now. 27 yesterday, 27.15, 25.4 on day 1.
You know, he talked about catching the male first. Whenever I was there, every time that I caught a fish off a tree, it was the female first. So
I've never heard of that before.
That's what's and that was always kind of weird. And I had more trouble catching the males than I did the females. So
well, and you think about this, like now you've got all the males setting up beds for the first time this year. You know, like there hadn't been beds prior to this. If this is the first true wave of spawners, they get up there and have to really I feel like they kick it off. Females get up there, whereas when you get the second, third, fourth waves, it's like a come and go as you please. You know what I'm saying? Here's a female can pull up anywhere, multiple fish on one bed even. I think Hank Cherry said in one of those Santee events he had 5 fish on one bed.
Yeah, I know Benton and them talked about it a lot. They said you'd pull up there and you'd catch one off of it, and by the time you put it in the box, you'd come back and there'd be another one pulled up there on it. You're like, but like that one tree I caught those 4 fish off of in the tournament. There was another one I could never get it to bite, but it was like they found one spot that they wanted to spawn that day, and every fish they were just lined up coming in to get their spot.
Well, everything is lined up for Scott Martin with regards to the Opens. He has had a Opens kind of year this year, starting out with a dominating performance down at Lake Okeechobee.
Tommy kicked it off with 33 pounds on day 1 of that event. That got him in the all-time record book for the single day biggest bag, and then backed it up there and had a 30-pound average. And by the time championship Saturday was coming around, we were begging on Bass Live for another 10 or 11, 12 pounder, maybe break 100 pounds for 3 days.
Well, he got it as close as you could possibly imagine. I mean, 90 is unbelievable for 3 days of fishing.
It's pretty cool to see rolling up there with him too.
Yeah, a great, very sentimental win there, certainly, with rolling there, and the rest of his family looking on as well. One he won't ever forget, that's for sure. Well, let's take a look at Scott Martin today, looking to fire up a little bit more of that magic here.
Scott's been predominantly doing what you'd expect with the spawning pattern, Luke. We've seen a lot of chatterbaits, lipless, spinnerbaits, things like that throughout the day, but he has been strictly flipping program, looking at sight fish, finding these beds, whether it's in clear water with his eyes or dirtier water with his electronics.
He's being real thorough in the area he's in too. He's not really going fast. He's just kind of slowly picking it apart, and like you said earlier, they're coming to him. You know, so it's just a matter of time when one more pulls up there, and he could pop another 6, 7, 8 pounder, and more things get very interesting.
He came over to Bass highly decorated his first couple of years, where he just slipped inside the Classic, and this last year he missed it, and this year's something different. He's already qualified for next year's Classic, and he's going for another win.
And you know, and he can fish different on elites now because he's already qualified for the Classic.
Sure.
You're going for a win. You know, I mean, really, obviously, you know, you want to make as much money as you can and as much points. But his main goal is to get a blue trophy now, you know, for the rest of the year.
You go for the
you go for the throat, really, every tournament. Instead of fishing to try to make the Classic, you're fishing to win. You have a lot more. Mercer said it on stage with me several times now. I went from very consistent to, no, I'm going to go swing for it. And you have those very good tournaments, but you're also going to have those bombs.
I've heard guys say, I learned how to win.
Yeah.
Well, and it makes you more bold. I think Brandon Cobb said it. The year that he won Hartwell and Lake Fork, he had 2 wins before the first half of the season was done. So he started trying things and doing things on the smallmouth swing, and almost missed the Classic because it wasn't working. And he all of a sudden, I need to get back to who I was to win those events, because you're learning a way to, like, when you need to zig, when you need to zag, or hey, this has the recipe of I can win this tournament, not I'm on nothing, so let's just try everything type of thing.
Because then you can start questioning yourself, though. Whenever you've got close a few times and you're like, wow, what do I need to do? Is it that, you know, and it can just be one fish.
Well, last year at the Classic, I remember you were standing with Brian Schmidt, and you were kind of lamenting, gosh, when is a win ever going to come? And then a month later, you get it. I mean, it's not when you least expect it, but you don't see it coming.
I saw a female swim across it. You could see the big black line. I would throw the male back, but it's late in the game. It's a 3-9. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it. We've got a short day today. But this fish, it looked like it was another big one that I need. So we've got 25 pounds or so right now. I wish we had all day to fish, but they're claiming there's going to be some real bad weather this afternoon. It's been pretty bad this morning, but fortunately this has been a protected little pocket. These fish just keep coming. Need to move that button. That button gets me every once in a while.
Scott signed up for this division to be able to fish at home at Okeechobee, get the opportunity that Kyle Austin has fishing at home at Santee Cooper. Now the question is, Tommy, he wins the first Open, Scott does, and we're saying he has to at least participate in the next two to make the Classic and ensure it, get his qualification, solidified. If he was to win today, we're going to try to get a clean sweep and all three events in this division get won by the same guy. That would be another record territory.
Another first, yeah, absolutely.
He likes Hartwell, too.
Yeah, and he normally does really well at Hartwell, too, so that could be it's a possibility.
Gosh.
Well, they were talking, I think he said his dad won 3 in a row one time.
Really?
Roland.
Was it Castledine that won one year down in Texas? He won all divisions of something, like the Costas or something. He won
Yeah, Hanselman has done that as well, yeah. I think Christie, the year before he decided to go and try to do it on the national level, he won all 5 in his division of Oklahoma or something like that. And Randall Tharp's done the same thing when he was at Guntersville in Alabama before moving to Florida.
Yeah.
He won, every in his division. And I think I should take this elsewhere. Maybe they voted him out. I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, you're not fishing with us
allowed to fish with him.
If I was beating up the same guy every day, I'd just keep beating him up. You know what I'm saying?
Did you notice last year was the first time in the Opens that an elite angler hasn't gone down and won one of them?
Really? Huh. Didn't know that. Well, I was part of that non-winning group because I went to Eufaula and I fished them. And we're coming back to Eufaula, though. I've got to get a little redemption. I had a really, really frustrating 2 days up there and ended up 23rd or something.
Have you seen, we'll have to get back to this after the break, but we'll have you preview Eufaula a little bit because last year was kind of peculiar how it all went down, but we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. Kyle Austin's making a move, Tommy.
Yeah. Time to make a move is now. That's 2 hours fishing time left in this day for these competitors, these final 10 on the Santee Cooper Complex. St. Croix Bassmaster Open at Santee Cooper Lakes, presented by 7, is brought to you, sponsored by Mercury, by Power Pole, and by Progressive Insurance. Chad Grigsby on the move right now.
The guys are starting to get antsy.
Yeah.
They know time is
They know they're
ticking.
making their last move of the day. In reality, you're going to move and you got an hour and a half left to fish in that region. That's probably going to be one of your last moves of the day.
Yeah.
Ronnie McCoy started the day in 2nd place and just has had a rough time of it today.
Yep, there's no way I could fish that slow.
There we go.
And it pans out for him, though.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
Oh, she came off. Oh, man, that was a big one.
So basically I just lost one, probably about 6 pounds, but when we come across this flat here, there's one lily pad out there, and I saw, what was like a tire, a dark spot, and real sandy around it, and thought I'd seen a fish swim off of it. So just let the boat float across it and sat here, made 3 flips in there. Fish bit it the first flip, just ticked it. Second flip, nothing. Third flip, she thumped it, and I don't know how much harder you can set the hook on one. And not get it in the boat, but I successfully did that. So if y'all watching this on live, whatever you saw happen just then, don't do that, because that one didn't make it. That one didn't make it in the boat.
Had over 29 pounds yesterday. Had averaged about that size fish.
So I'm just a soft plastic Zoom roadkill craw in the green pumpkin.
He's got a bead on it there too, doesn't he?
Got a little tungsten weight on there and a little glass bead. Sometimes downsize a little bit. Get these fish to bite.
Running with 25-13 on day one, 29-2 yesterday, really. Showed out there, but his scheme is not working today very well. We should get a few missed fish. And
I asked him if he really, he's more of a local, has a lot of areas maybe. Does he have a backup plan from that Moultrie? And he said, I can run around and do some things, but I think it should be all right. But we see him leave early there. Something wasn't going on for him, so he is in full plan B, plan C, plan D mode.
2 misses in a row, Ronnie.
You can kind of tell those bed fishing, they're not just really getting the bait good.
No. A little unsettled. I don't know if it's the weather or Ronnie McCoy and Parker Guy. Back-to-back misses.
Sometimes it seems like when you do pitch at those trees with a Texas rake, you might get him. You got him.
Big and two.
He just kind of, we can tell he just bowed up and letting her swim off.
A little step back.
Oh my goodness, please stay on. Please stay on. Please stay on. Please stay on.
Those fish are so strong.
Come on. It's a giant. Please stay on fish. Please stay on fish, come on. Got you. Ronnie Cantrell, if you're back home watching on B.A.S.S Live, I caught one for you. Golly. That's why you come to Santee Cooper right there. Missed that fish twice. Stole my bait twice. And we got her finally.
There might be another one in there.
Probably a 6-pounder out of 5. Yeah. Six-pounder right there. Beautiful fish.
You're right, Tommy. Super long. These fish just seem like they're maybe 5-6 years older than other 6-pounders that are really, shorter and fatter. These are long 6-pounders.
Yeah, man, so I pulled up these group of trees. I haven't fished these. I really haven't even been on this side of this big area I'm fishing. And my place over there on the other side is looking a little bit muddy. So I figured I'd come over here to this side and check it out because it's kind of protected by the wind a little bit. But I came over here and flipped up to the left side of that tree and I caught a little buck. It was my 5th keeper. And I then flipped to the other side of the tree and had one eat it, set the hook, stole my worm. So I put another one on, flipped back in there, did the same thing, stole my worm again, and then me and him both set it. 3rd time's a charm, I flipped back in there. She ate it, I let her have it for a little bit longer this time, and yeah, just caught a daggum 6-pounder. So, need a couple more of those.
That bumped him up there pretty good too, didn't it?
Yeah, about fifth place now.
We talked about it's the haves and the have-nots. The top 4 or 5 have really had today. The others have not. So that's bonus points. You know, if you're in the EQ race and you're an Evan Kung or you're someone down there, a Dakota Ebear maybe, every point you can gain today when maybe some people have slacked off from their 25 pounds a day pace are free points for you.
Yeah.
Kyle Austin now pound and a half back of Scott Martin.
Still has those 2 small fish, 2.3 and a 2.9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, he's uh-oh.
Hold on.
That's a big one.
Still has a small one to get rid of for sure.
That's a giant. That's what we need, boys.
Messing around, Kyle, get him in the boat. Oh, jeez.
Wow.
It's a 7-pounder.
Oh, I thought he'd come off. I thought I could see his worm.
No. Don't say that. Uh-oh.
Yeah, just get that out of the way.
Being good and patient with it at least. Don't want to horse it too much out of excitement.
Oh, man, that could have put his classic in his grasp.
Give me some of that, dude. Holy crap, we got us a giant. Oh my God, I did not think it was that big. Oh my. Did you see it do a backflip? Oh, look at that one. Look, that would call a dang 2-pounder. That's the ones we need to win this thing.
3 5-pound Kel too.
Oh man, that was
Huge.
huge.
That was one of his biggest of the day for sure. He started with a 6'11".
Started the day with the lead, got locked in a race. Race at the top with Scott Martin. And he has fired a big shot in the waning hours of Championship Saturday. St. Croix Bassmaster Open at Santee Cooper. In less than 2 weeks, we kick off the World Championship, though, the Bass Pro Shops Bassmaster Classic presented by Jockey Outdoors, the 2024 edition. There's the defending champion there, Jeff Gustafson. Going to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The BOK Center will be rocking for sure. And Grand Lake of the Cherokees will be our fantastic playing field. Cannot wait to see all of the action. We got one of the favorites sitting here with us today, Luke Palmer. So that doesn't get you more fired up, Luke. I mean, I don't know. I appreciate you taking some time out because I know you're focusing on that. Just moments ago, though, we saw something that got our attention for sure. Kyle Austin.
Yeah, he might have found the fish that gets him to that next year's Classic of Ray Roberts. That's a giant. He needed that more than anything today to kind of get, I think, maybe his confidence back. I think he was starting to kind of question a little bit, and that right there, big, major.
He's balanced the game plan perfectly. Started out every morning really good with his current seam where that flow is coming through from Marion to Moultrie. Normally leaves there with a good limit. Did not leave there with a good limit today. Had 3 good ones and a small one. Comes to the trees knowing he needs 1 good bite. Hasn't gotten it the rest of the day, like you said, Luke. 7-pounder. What a huge fish. Cole's a 2-pounder, and it puts him not only in the lead now, Tommy, he's got a considerable margin.
Yeah, 3 pounds, a 12-ounce margin as it stands right now with an hour and a half of fishing time left in this day. It's really it's going to be something else at the end there for Scott Martin and Laker Howell. They're going to need another big one. Everyone else on that leaderboard is going to have to think in terms of a couple of big ones in order to get themselves back in the game. So we are headed for a very dramatic conclusion to this tournament here. A lot to see, a lot to come.
They obviously don't know Bass Track. They don't know how it is, but you know through that day when you have a couple-hour lull, Luke, and you start to question yourself like you said. And so for that 7-pounder pays off. He now can refocus and know I've got 4 great ones. I need 1 more. So Matt Adams definitely needs this one to jump in maybe the top 5.
No, it's not. It's a 3-pounder. I thought it was bigger than that. Got to have me in the grass. Not even a 3-pounder. It's a baby. A baby. He ugly spot on him too. But, you know what that is? It's number 4. So, God, I thought he was a big one. You wrapped me in the grass. Maybe I just wanted him to be a big one, you know? I'm just trying to wish it to fruition. Two, 4.
Kyle Austin is putting his name in the record book. Yesterday he had 31 pounds, 8 ounces. That's 5th all time in the Opens. And his 82.12 right now on Bass Track, which could be up or down a little bit, is 2nd all time to Scott Martin's 90 pounds, 6 ounces from Okeechobee.
And he's trying to fight off Scott Martin.
Yeah.
Come on.
Scott's not trying to win. He's trying to win to stop Kyle from beating his records. That's what it is.
We need Laker Scott to catch a good one just to make it real close. That way we can just. Laker don't have that much time left.
No, he'll have to start running back soon.
Yeah.
And he may have a bigger bag than what Bass Track says there. You know, like who knows?
That's always a possibility.
We haven't heard
that's
him
not the final word on the weight.
It says he's 5'9" back and he's got a 2-1 in there. So just one good
7.5 pounder.
Yeah.
8 pounder. So his dad was right. He needs a 9 pounder.
That's
He was right.
That is exactly right. Always right.
Yeah.
Father knows best. Heard that term before.
Until new evidence appears.
I think McCoy lost a good one about 15 minutes ago. This one not as big as the one that came off, but much needed.
Come on in here, little fella. We might have number 1 after about 4 hours of fishing this morning. Let's check it and see. This is gonna come in at. Thank you, Jesus. It does feel good to get it.
One in the boat now. That's good news for Ronnie McCoy. Back to Laker Howell.
He's fired up. You can just tell, like his demeanor. He's just pumped up. He's excited to be there. And here we go.
Okay, now this is important.
Yes, it is.
Very
important. He
important.
bowed up on him too.
It's not one of the giants he needs.
Not a giant, but it's a.
It's healthy.
That's a good one.
It's a pretty dang good
Not
one.
bad.
That's a good one.
He's got a 2-1 in the boat.
Something like a yes, how about them apples, you know, like that kind of deal. I hate that we lost Lakers Mike earlier in the day, but there was a torrential downpour on the way, and he ran the farthest of anyone else on the water, so we lost him from somewhere from takeoff to fishing, but what a day for this 21, 22-year-old.
He's saying, oh my God.
Oh my gosh, 5 pounder, he said. I read his lips, 5 pounder. Shows that
almost 6.
Oh, that is,
almost.
Or is that, that's in tenths though, or hundreds.
I don't know.
So is that like?
It went 09, 10, 11. I don't think it was decimal. I think it was ounces there.
Okay.
Maybe a 5 3/4. That gives him.
Get him over 25 pounds for the day. He had 28 yesterday. 25 day 1.
Out of breath.
Important step right there for sure for Laker Howell.
Got to make sure he culls here.
Yeah.
Do not get excited, young man.
Do not mess that
Do
up.
not go up to the front of the boat. Nothing good up at the front of the boat right now.
No.
I'm about to pass out.
I'm trying to process this. I'm about to pass out. What else can we phrase out for him there?
Throw one fish out, please.
Yes, yes. For the live crew's sake, we've seen someone have a culling infraction on live and lose the tournament. Don't let that be the reason.
He's looking for that 2-3.
If it is a 3
2-1?
if it is 3 3/4 pound cull, that'll put him right there at 81.
Yeah, I mean
In second place, yeah.
Put him at 81 pounds or so.
Get up and start casting.
Oh my God.
Now you can fish. Now you can fish. You got 5 in the one. Now you can fish. He's like, okay.
Yeah, you need a 6.
11:30 Eastern time. We've got an hour and a half left to fish. Maybe 40 minutes of run time, at least for Laker, 45. So he's got about 30 to 45 minutes left of fishing
not that
time.
much time, yeah.
We'll be able to watch him when he leaves and see how much time he gives himself.
Yeah.
But what a good day he has had, at least threatening Kyle and Scott up at the top.
We'll still need about a 6 pounder to get
really
near Kyle Austin.
Have a shot.
Austin still the man on top, started the day. The top spot, the Laker. Wow, he has shown that he's got it. He belongs out here for sure.
The earlier morning lull could be over with.
It's over with.
We might start seeing some big ones. I mean, in the last 20 minutes, we've seen 2 or 3 good ones. So
that's a big one, dude. Plot thickens. The lull is over. Man, everything's good news coming across right now. Scott Martin, what a year he's had in his Division I Opens competition.
Dude, that's awesome.
I don't even want to consider his average weight over what is now 6 days of fishing.
Oh, no doubt about it. And if the Laker Howell would win, how about this incentive for whoever wins this, whether it's Scott, more motivation, because he's going to go to the Classic in 2 weeks and have to be in the Expo. Same thing for Kyle Austin, representing his sponsors, knowing that this is the last time I'm going to be in the Expo. I get to be out in a boat next Classic. That would be something very cool. Or if Laker, Chad Grigsby, any of these guys make a run.
There's your unofficial leaderboard as it stands right now. Hour and a half, probably much less than that fishing time. Hour and a half till they have to report back in. Coverage is going to continue at noon Eastern time. Bassmaster.com. Thanks so much for being with us today on FS1 in South Carolina.
You're watching a B.A.S.S. presentation.
St. Croix Bassmaster Open at Santee Cooper Lakes, presented by 7. Is sponsored by Mercury, by Power Pole, and by Progressive Insurance. We have got a barn burner going on. Final day here, championship Saturday. The Santee Cooper Complex here in South Carolina. 10 anglers out of the original 223 pros who have taken to this lake for the championship round. And we have very, very tight. The top 3 anglers separated by less than 5 pounds. That's one swing of the rod here. This is Kyle Austin. While we were away, he was able to upgrade.
Come on, no.
It's been a good 30 minutes for him because when we left you 30 minutes ago, he had just put a 7-pounder in there to make a 5-pound coal.
Oh, this is another 4 or 5 pounder.
Give me a little some of that. Give me a little some of that. Oh, that's a big hole right there late in the day. Late in the day. You can't give up here, man. It takes one tree. That's a big hole right there.
Yes, he had a 2-pounder or so in his box. He did a couple of them,
He
but he
had a
cold
2
out.
and a 2.9. And so he got rid of the 2 with the 7.6, and he gets rid of the 2.9 with a
just about a 1-pound coal.
3.5 pounder, which is now his smallest to go as well.
3.8.
He's working on a pretty good bag then.
Up to 27-12 on the day.
Late in the day, hopefully.
83-11 total.
Ooh,
there we go.
Can't weigh that one in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were talking about earlier in the day, was that Laker Howell, Scott Martin, biggest bags of the day so far, and they were threatening Kyle Austin because of that, but now he has the biggest bag of the day, Tommy, so they're going to have, which Lakers got to be coming back in just a few minutes if he hasn't already started.
Yeah, Kyle Austin had 2 pounds 3 ounces on Laker Howell and 212 over Scott Martin to start the day.
Dakota Ebar, now he's the leader of the rest of the group behind the top 3, and they are considerably far back, so he needs big things to happen, as do the rest of them, other than Austin, Howell, and Martin.
I think the lull is over with.
Yeah.
It's definitely starting to happen now.
We're seeing some
good fish coming in.
The fish found out, and they knew they needed to bite an hour earlier because they wouldn't be able to bite at 1 o'clock.
Just now getting the word about weigh-in,
If they wanted to be famous today.
Jesus, oh my God.
Dang, he's back to back off the bed.
That's a real good one, looks like. He's a fired up one.
It's big, dude.
It happens so fast on this pond.
I don't know how well I got her.
Dang, that mare's long.
That's how you freaking make up some ground right there. Thank you, Lord. I knew she was big. Oh, man. I had her good. Thank you, Lord. Y'all see what I caught her on? Dude, this is the best little bed fishing bait. Raised scound bug right there. Look at that beautiful thing. Mwah. Thank you, Lord. Oh, man. You just gotta keep working, man. You gotta keep faith and keep working. 6.5, man. Calling out a 210. Puts me at 22 pounds. Yes! We gotta keep going, guys. We gotta keep going.
Gosh, I have 22 pounds and he's still how far back?
10 pounds back at least.
Gosh, that's crazy.
That's tough.
I thought that fish has got a head on her to be huge, but it's just not quite thick enough.
So long.
I know.
He's gained some prize money and about 5 points, 4 points in the
Huge.
EQ. Could be in the end.
Yeah, because it's just a matter of minimal points when it gets down to getting that top nine. I mean, that's what
things.
That was the difference between me making it, not making it back in 15.
Yeah.
You know, so
You get a little bit, perspective. Kyle Austin misses it by 20 points, and we think it's because he didn't catch a limit on the final day, which contributed to it. But if he gains 5 points on a day 2 at Ozarks, he gains 5 points at a day 2 at Eufaula, Oklahoma, all of a sudden your 4 fish didn't mean as much in the negative.
And McCoy got off the donut a little bit ago and put one in the boat.
Little fella.
There's another.
We might have number 1 after
Oh, I thought he did get off.
about 4 hours of fishing this
Okay.
morning. Let's check it and see. This is gonna come in at. Thank you, Jesus. It does feel good to get a bite. That's that one right there, yeah. All right. I don't think I'll wait in one that small all week, but I sure am happy to get this one right here.
Oh, time is running out. If you were just picking up with us today, of course, due to the weather, the weigh-in has been moved from 2:30 Eastern Time to 1 o'clock Eastern Time, so it's right around the corner here, and that has changed things up a little bit. I want to welcome in to the Bassmaster Studio, sponsored by Marathon, so we can show our prized analyst here, Luke Palmer. Great performer, always on this place, and just some great comments from you today, and lots of insights into how they're fishing. Now, set it up for us with 3 guys. Austin, Hal, and Martin here. Advantage Austin, but Hal and Martin can get it done, right?
You know, Hal and Martin can, but Hal, we've talked about, he is very limited on his time. He's down in Lake Moultrie, and he's the furthest away. He's probably got 45-minute run to get back, plus you got to factor in the wind. Unless he does something real quick, Scott might be the only guy that can run Kyle Austin down. Yeah. I mean, Kyle, he made that big call a little while ago, got up to 3.5 pounders, his smallest fish. That's big. So and there's still some time. You know, they still got another, 45 minutes to fish or so, and it only takes one little stop, one little tree to go really big.
It could be Laker Hal coming back 5 minutes early. He might leave and give himself some time and do something near the ramp.
We've seen it happen.
He's actually
in the canal, right?
It looks like he's in the diversion canal already.
He's on his way.
When you see him take off, Matt Messer and Matt Adams are looking over their shoulder. I gotta go as well, but I don't have the weight I need. I gotta go.
Oh, you can see how dirty Chad's stuff has got.
Yeah.
Wow.
He might be. I missed him on the map. He might be in that Tawkaw region, which has just been blown out according to a lot of people.
Some little sand hot spots in here.
He got a little bit of sun popping through too, so these.
See if I can't find one more on a bed.
Make them just get up there.
One that'll bite quick.
Scott Martin currently 4 pounds, 11 ounces back, unofficially.
Kyle has just made all the right moves today. You know, he started on his starting spot that's been so good for him. And, you know, he left out of there and he said, I just need to go catch a couple of 4-pounders. Well, he goes and catches a 7 and almost 4. So, you know, everything is just, it's working to his advantage right now, and having that local knowledge to have that confidence to say, hey, I can go catch me 2 or 3 more fish throughout the day off these trees to finish out my limit.
Yeah, and he had caught most of his fish early there the other 2 days. That's a hard thing to do. That's a hard call to make, isn't it?
Yeah, the final day, Luke, he didn't think that spot would hold up past day 1. He goes there, gets a good 24 pounds off the bat or 22 pounds off the bat, and it feels great. Goes back there day 2, hoping they're there, catches another good bag to start the morning. Really didn't think they'd be there this morning, and so for to set up a game plan, I'm going to go do this, catch some fish, go do this, catch some fish. It has worked to a T, but rarely does that work out like that.
It never happens. You know, I mean, it's, you know, it very rarely happens at all in this sport. And to do it over 3 days, like you said, is one thing. You know, 1 or 2 days is thing, but it's just like our tournaments being 4 days.
Short
1 and 2
days,
days you can kind of catch them, but day 2 or day 3 is something. But then day 4 is like the grind out. What do you have in the gas tank to finish out with? And it's normally really tough. And 4 days on a shallow fishery is even tougher. You know, having enough fish to make it 4 days is tough.
I've been keeping track of Kyle Austin on the map, and he has started on that northwest part of Moultrie and then gone to the diversion canal. I've seen him on the other side, stay for a while, and then go west of that into Marion.
And it's a little bit of a lot more different situation. Those are calculated, local, home field moves, you know, and he knows he has to be perfect today because he knows the name Ronnie McCoy right behind him. Like when you fish a local lake, you know the guys.
Still right behind him.
Yeah, and you think I'm only up by a pound coming into the day. 28, 29 pounds, very doable. I did 31 yesterday. You know, Ronnie could catch 30 today. So never settle, never pleased, knowing that an 8-pounder is the next flip for somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, last year when I won, I didn't have a single fish at 1:30. And from 1:30 to 3 o'clock, I caught 21 pounds. I should have had a lot more than that. But, so it can happen that quick. So, I mean, it's like, you know, Scott doesn't have a long ways to run, you know, which obviously Kyle's not very far either from takeoff, so he can be back in 10 minutes max. So Chad's close, but Chad's going to need a couple of good ones, a couple big ones to really roll him through.
Now, the local guy from Monk's Corner, Mark Hudson, had our 10-pound, 3-ounce Phoenix Boats Big Bass on day 1 in the first 30-pound bag, 36. But on day 2, he slipped to 11. Is that also a local issue when you think you know where the fish are going to be, or what happens there?
Well,
maybe, Luke?
You think about that, Luke. Like you catch a 10-pounder, your 30-pound bag's confident, but the odds of catching 10 again, that's hard.
Very slim, you know, and it, you know, obviously the big fish makes a major difference, but you take that 10, that's 2 fish, you know, essentially for your bag. So that makes a big difference, but at 10-pounders, not far off. No. One more cast.
Absolutely.
One more
Kyle
cast.
Austin still on top, 3.5-pound lead right now, but it is far from over. Howell and Martin trying to run him down. St. Croix Bassmaster Open at Santee Cooper Lakes, presented by 7 Reels. We got a big race, especially at the top of our leaderboard. The top 3 positions: Kyle, Austin, Laker, Howell, and Scott Martin. And these are anglers who, unlike most of the rest of our top 10, had significant upgrades day 2 over day number 1. They've been on the right trajectory throughout the whole thing here, and they have been able to hold that line, so to speak, through the course of this day, which is getting down closer to its end than you might think. If you're just checking in with us, we're going to have an early check-in today at 1 p.m.
Yeah, the National Weather Service said high winds was expected after the huge thunderstorms this morning. It's been raining throughout the night and this morning. Winds as well with that, but then the wind changed directions and speed a little bit from the southwest this afternoon, which builds a lot on the biggest lake in South Carolina, Lake Marion. And so Hank Weldon, the staff, want to keep the cameramen out there, photographers, the video camera guys in the boats, the anglers, also the tournament staff and the fans who show up, all safe.
Yeah.
Instead of canceling the whole day and ending it after 2, just shorten it by an hour and a half and getting this day in.
Scott is loaded up on one here. He kind of acts excited about him.
Scott's smallest is a 3.8.
How far did you say he's back, Such? 2.5 pounds or 3?
He's 4'11 right
4'11
now. Starting the day 212 back.
212.
So he would need to get a Kyle Austin 31 plus bag.
Yeah.
Right now he needed 8-pounder to call a 3.5 and get to that mark with 1 fish. He does have 2 3.5s though, so he can get rid of both of them in the last 20 minutes.
It's kind of funny how some fish will pull up on them in their first flip, and then others, it's an hour and a half. You're still sitting there, and they won't even look at your bait. I'll kind of rotate some colors through there. And there'll be one color they will really pay attention to compared to the other ones.
I wonder. Wow.
You know, sometimes it's white, sometimes it's black and blue, or green pumpkin, and it's kind of funny. I know at Seminole I was bed fishing a lot and could not get them to touch a green pumpkin. You think, okay, the water's clean. You'd pitch a white one up there, and it was just like straight down on it instantly. And it was like, why? You know?
It's like sight fishing has some of the most variables ever. Not only is it color, it's location. Look at that.
Must not be real big. I
don't know if he's gonna help. There's so many over here. Dude, I can see them swimming around the sandbar. 3.9's my smallest. That's about a 3.9. I need bigger than that.
Because he's down to, he's got what, 20 minutes probably?
I need 4. No, not gonna help me. Not gonna help me.
When you're sight fishing like that or fishing for bedding bass, you have the color factor, maybe the weight, how much weight is on your bait. There's a spot within a spot. Here's the bed, but there's a spot in a spot. And then also the variable is there a male with that female? Are there fish around? You know, like how long has the fish been up there? Is it spinning? You know, there's so many variables in sight fishing.
And it's amazing watching guys who are very good sight fishermen, you know, Cook and Benton, them, some of the best sight fishermen there are, and how they can roll by a fish and just look at it for 2 seconds and be like, yeah, I can probably catch that one in 10 minutes and wheel around there and, you know, catch them that quick. So which Oklahoma, we can't do as much sight fishing because we don't have that clean of water all the time. Yeah. And when they do get up there to spawn, then it rains 4 inches and then it wipes it out. So it's really not.
I moved to Arkansas and soon realized after catching 1 fish off the bed visibly that I wasn't going to have that many opportunities because the week that you get to go is the week it rains and the lake floods and the fish is now in 5 feet of water.
This week,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Matt Adams was one of those guys down in Moultrie who he's either made the move back or he's making the move fully back right now.
I guess Kyle, he's right there by the takeoff, isn't he? It looks like.
I'm assuming he is.
There's been some big bags caught out of Takaw Creek.
Love this lake though. It's my first time on. I love it. Sets up the way I like to fish.
Come on,
shallow.
Trip. All right, let me say that.
Throw big baits.
Come on,
love
Hank.
this lake.
Send us a dang. Oh gosh, dude. Look at that one. Look, 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 look. Bro. Bro! That's the one I need. That was him. Come on, Hank. Send a text message out and be like, we've changed our mind, we're going to stay till 3. You got to give us a chance, man.
Noticing that sun's popping out and it's starting to happen, you know, and that's that does kind of stinks, but you know they're doing it for the best of us. Safety wise is.
You're trying to make you have to make a call before you leave the ramp. It's not like we'll buzz you. You know, it's a
yeah, because it, you know.
Watching the forecast and the future cast, it definitely has changed. It was calling for more thunderstorms over the area, you know, late this afternoon, but it's kind of slid to the south a little bit. Not to say that there won't be some that still pop up later.
But yeah, you take the little bit of info you get, you got to make a decision that affects a whole lot of people. I mean, the one thing, you don't want to cancel the day and lose out on publicity for the group of anglers in the Opens on FS1 and Bassmaster. You don't want to lose a day of that. The opportunity to go tomorrow may not exist like you do with the Elite Series, where it's a little bit more flexibility. You really got to take a lot into account. And so I think other than being a political figure, tournament director is the least favorable job for somebody who wants
league umpire.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Everybody wants the power until you got to make that decision, and it's not an easy decision.
No, and it's not.
And it's not 2:30 yet, so who's to say, you know, what it's going to be like then.
Oh, yeah. And these guys are all close to the banks on either the north or south shore, up in a creek. Scott Martin's up in Potato Creek. Around the corner, he's got an island blocking the south wind. You've got other guys who are maybe up in Tawcaw, maybe around some islands covering them, or on the south shore. What the meat of the lake is experiencing may not be what you're fishing in, and so the navigation purposes. There's trees the size of your boat out there.
Yes,
want to do that.
And they're very hard. They're not soft trees. I'm sure a fiberglass repair shop around Santee is probably a pretty good business to have.
Busy place, probably.
Yeah. Kyle is just like, let's go ahead and call it right now. Let's go ahead and all load up and go to the house.
He's like, I thought it was 12:30, 30 minutes ago.
No. Oh, it's the longest day in the world whenever you have a good bag and you think you might have a shot to win.
I would think with 27 pounds, he's thinking positively at this point.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Plus the lead he had to begin with.
Yeah, at this point, you're not, I didn't lose the tournament, I got beat. If you catch 27, you have the lead, and you're almost 28, and you already had the lead, you just got beat if you lose this tournament.
Yeah, everybody but Ronnie McCoy only has one fish, would have to catch more than 30 pounds. He thinks he pretty much should know, Kyle Austin should know he's done his job.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he wants another one.
Oh, yeah. You always want another one. No matter what, even when you got a big stringer, you're like, well, maybe just one more. I thought I needed one more the whole time last year. I said, I need one more.
Did you really?
Yeah, I really did.
All the way to the end?
All the way, and I was like, the only thing I kind of was good with is when I seen Brandon Cobb running around, and I knew he was catching on a whack worm because he's in the same area, and he didn't even go over there hardly. He just he went back to talk. I was like, okay, I got a pretty good backdoor shot, and then if I catch 25, I said, he's got to catch 28, 27, 28, 29, and I should have it okay, especially with the weather conditions. It was very similar to this.
Yeah.
And we remember you sweating it on camera, then come in with a 14-pound win.
Yeah, that was one of those tournaments that I wish you could go look at Bass Track one time just to see how it was.
Save yourself.
And,
add a few years to your life.
Hey, for about...
That's the male. There's a 6-pounder with him. Get in here, dude. I only got about a minute.
Hey, for about 15 minutes, you were behind Mark Menendez because he caught back-to-back 6-pounders to take the lead. But after that, we were like, as long as Luke catches one, we know that he could catch 5.
Yeah. It felt good to catch that first 7.5, I can promise you that.
Everybody feeling the clock ticking, of course. Scott Martin just, I just got a minute. Come on, let's get the mail out. And here we go. Sponsored by Minn Kota. This event is by Bass Pro Shops and by Skeeter Boat. Bassmaster Live, the St. Croix Bassmaster Open at the Santee Cooper Lakes, presented by 7. And that is our unofficial leaderboard as it stands right now. Kyle Austin of here in South Carolina started the day with the lead. He is hanging on to that lead so far. He has gotten back into the region of the check-in, so looking good on that account right now. Laker Howell en route back to that area. Scott Martin doesn't have quite so far to go, but he's, if not having left for takeoff already, he's going to be doing so very, very soon. He just indicated that to us. So the sands are slipping through the hourglass here for everyone who would want to overtake Kyle Austin to win his first St. Croix Bassmaster Open. Still there.
That's what we was talking about earlier. We're going to push it till the very end.
Smallest fish in Scott's live well, 3 pounds, 8 ounces.
This one will make it closer if he can catch it. He said it was he thought it was a 6+.
Thought it was a good one, yeah.
Oh. Well, he's got her to nip at it, so that's a positive for him. You know, at least she's active for sure.
Got her, dude. Got her, bro. It's not as big as I thought, but it's just going to help me. It's going to help me.
Spinning rods with all that grass and
yeah. Not as big as I thought, but dude, look at that. Okay. Definitely helps though.
This is where you just throw him back, keep going, because you just. But he's got a big bag. I mean,
yeah, he does.
That's what kind of stinks.
Yeah,
you know? It's just
really good.
Kyle's got a giant bag.
We gotta go like this, literally like the last fish.
25 minutes left until first flight checks in.
4-4.
Which obviously there's only one flight today with 10.
Okay, I gotta call real quick. I need to get in here. I gotta figure out which one. One of them's gonna be bigger than more than an ounce. It's gotta be.
Went in as a 4-4, so he got
I can't make myself do it.
ounces out of that one.
Well, then about it, Kyle had Patrick behind him, and he said he was 3 pounds ahead of him on Bass Track. Kyle would be in major problems.
Yeah,
Patty's normally about 7 to 10 pounds off.
Yeah, exactly. Two fellows who know each other well, the low country of South Carolina. I can't remember what Kyle said. Kyle is either, okay, so this is how it goes. Kyle was in Patrick's college partner's wedding. So Tyler all fished with Patrick Walters. And I think Kyle is related to Tyler. Like they married into the family and they're like related that way. And so he's been around Patrick and Patrick's partner Tyler forever.
Yeah. Yeah, because Kyle's just a little bit younger than.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not much younger.
No, I think he's upper 20s. Yeah.
Okay.
He's not quite 30 like us old guys here on the set.
Is he 25? Okay.
Well, that's upper 20s.
He's rounding
once
up.
Once you pass 25 even, you know, you're on the upper side of the 20s. You know,
It's all downhill from there, right?
Yeah, after 21, it really doesn't matter until Social Security or Medicare. So,
is it just random? I mean, you have certain anglers that you get in the elites most of the time.
Yeah, usually the first day is kind of. It depends. I do a lot of that Garmin transmission now. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get paired with whoever's got a good team like.
I got, yeah.
that's what we got a good group of camera guys to go with us.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're fun to be with.
They're
Jake
such
and,
pros too. I mean, they're.
I had Brian Evie at Toledo Bend. We had a lot of fun. Just got to talk all day, and I told him, I said, get right up here beside me. Like, he was literally right over my shoulder a lot of the days, and I'd be out there scoping. So it was like, you know, he knew whenever I started slinging a jerkbait around, he probably better move to the back. But no, we've had some good ones.
Put a lot on those guys more and more. Like, the fans want to see the graphs if we're going to do this type of fishing, and Bass isn't in the game of changing rules mid-season. So these are the rules we're set with for this year, and this is a good test year. So these cameramen not only are filming and transmitting it back to us, they're plugging into units when it's applicable and showing us those. So a lot goes on these guys at 5 in the morning.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They always will accept any challenge.
That's right.
That was kind of neat. I had Hunter last when I won this one, and he was beside me talking, and I was showing kind of like how the fish was getting set up on a bed, and I was like, and he is literally camera right beside my face, and I was like, yep, well, see, that's where the bed is. And I was like, there she is. Swam off and catch a 7-pounder with him right there over my shoulder. It was kind of neat to. Then had Kyle Jesse and them out there in front of us and Sago, and they got the photo over it and everything
you got
behind
to
it.
Yell to them.
Can I get, oh yeah?
Yeah.
I want to put Sago on blast on this one. Do you remember the old Bassmaster?
You were talking about this, yes, at Toledo.
Yes, but it was Lake Murray. Come to Lake Murray. They had the Chigger video. That guy,
Marty Dasher,
in the boat,
cameraman
riding around with that old,
and
old brown boat.
And then Sago was the Japanese Elvis. So,
Oh my God!
Oh, Ronnie McCoy.
There we go, Ronnie.
There we go. He's got him good. All right.
Show us one at the weigh-in, Ronnie.
See, it shows you can't ever quit.
No.
Come on up in here, baby.
That's a good one too.
Come on. Oh.
Old school spinner bait.
I tell you what, I've waited for that bite since 6:40 this morning. Got him on the spinner bait, baby. That's probably a, I don't know, 5-pounder. Woo! I am so happy that I'm going to the scale with more than just one. I don't think I'll put a cull tag in this one, brother.
One to hold up and one to keep it from being lonely, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Who knows? He could stand up and make 5 casts in a row and catch 20 pounds.
Woo.
Either way, Ronnie McCoy is going to have some fans at the weigh-in.
Oh, no doubt.
Friends and family.
He
Just to
lit
make
it
a
up.
top 10 in the opens with 225,
That one
you've had to beat a lot of
absolutely,
people.
When he hit it, my
And he
feet
just moved up
probably
a spot.
jumped up
So
off
how about
the deck.
that?
Yeah. Oh, he did.
So this, so we're in, we're on a secondary point, and there's some water willow, almost like what we were fishing this morning, except this isn't blowed out. This has got, the right kind of color. We're in like 3 feet of water, throwing it up into, 2 foot, 1.5 foot, and time I rolled it off the edge of that water willow, he hit it. She smoked it. See if there's another one living up there. I like that a lot.
Tommy, we know there's always a big crowd at Bassmaster Elite Series weigh-ins watching the end of live as they wait for these anglers to check in and do weigh-ins.
There should be more than one.
The opens are starting to have crowds. Ouachita had a big crowd, Okeechobee, and there's a whole bunch of people at John C. Land watching right now. So I know Kyle Austin's family's probably a little nervous, and everybody else is there to see these records come in.
It'll be a good bite. So it would be a blessing to get one more like that in the next 12 minutes.
Oh my gosh. This is the slowest 10 minutes of my life right now. We actually have 18 to weigh in, but I'm probably going to ease back here in a couple minutes. Hey, next time I'm on Fox Sports, make sure you're my camera guy. That's the most big ones I've caught on camera yet.
What is the statistics of our camera guys for who they get that wins? I think Jake has probably got the best winning percentage out of all of them.
Quite. And I don't even think, well, I guess Jake was with Keoya on the final day at Toledo, but he was not with Trey. That was Brandon Fine or Brandon Fiend. Tom Wayne is with Kyle Austin today. So we got, and then I got to figure out, I think Jake was with, and I'll say this. Some of those camera guys, based on, I don't know if it's performance or just longevity, they get first pick sometimes. Yeah. So, I'm going to pick the leader if you're with it, yeah. So, I'm not ragging on our guy Jake. He's not in the field today, but.
Who was with Scott and Okeechobee?
That was Jake.
That was Jake.
Yeah, that was Jake.
Yeah.
I don't know who was with Jeremiah Kendi, though. I can't remember who was with Jeremiah.
But Jake,
maybe I think it was one of the Penningtons. Carl or David Pennington.
Okay, yeah, David Pennington, probably.
But can't Jake speak a little bit of Japanese, I think?
He says so.
So that might be his.
Could be, yeah.
With Taku and Koyo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten us quite the in that we need with him, you know what I'm saying? Like, he hasn't got that trust bond built, We're hoping for it.
All the camera guys we got, like we said, they're all good guys. They have a lot of fun. I like being in the boat with them.
Oh, yeah.
It makes your day, even if you're having a bad day, they can still kind of at least lighten it up a little bit so you're not completely depressed when you come in and got your teeth kicked in.
It's good to have one in the boat.
It's very good to have one in the boat.
It's a hard job, too.
Yeah, we go to St. Lawrence River, I don't see how they do it.
Oh, man.
And they don't have seats back there.
No.
I couldn't imagine looking through an eyepiece. I can't even handle looking down without getting seasick, much less looking through an eyepiece.
Watching the video from here.
It was rough that day, I ain't gonna lie. It was pretty bad.
I think we had a cameraman, Russell, was actually thrown up over the side of the boat while Chris Johnston was out there in the 2020 when it was super bad, and he ended up, he's not even swinging in a fish. It's just coming in off a wave into the boat just because of how big they were, and we're getting the shots not knowing what the guy's doing behind the camera, and so we're so grateful for it, and it is I always tell the anglers, I know you're having a tough day. We're trying to just do our job too. Tommy, Z, Such, myself, Dave, we all wake up, just like the cameramen and the photographers, trying to tell the world how good you guys are at bass fishing. And so it's one of those things that the cameramen are essential to that whole process.
Oh, yeah. And they get it too. They know exactly what we're trying to do.
And I'm getting them so good at Bass Track. I'm getting them so.
Oh man!
I'll let them know, like, hey, that's a 5, and they're like, I got you. So
they know they can count on you for yet another job.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure that you'll come up with something else.
Well, I'll be like,
soon.
You know what? I'll alter it, but just going forward, just know that's a 5-pounder. Come on.
What would make you super accurate on your Bass Track? A bigger prize than $1,000?
No, I don't normally catch enough fish to get to weigh them.
Oh, no, come on now.
I mean, I normally don't, I'm not a big numbers person. I catch 6-7 fish a day, and so by then I'm like, okay, that's my biggest one. Let's throw him in there. And I normally don't weigh my fish until I get to where I'm like, okay, I really need to see kind of where I'm at. And by then it's already, we're
you
late.
put in a 4, that's a 4+, that's a 5,
I don't ever want to be heavy.
Right.
From the sounds of it, Such is going to put in some in the pot to make the prize go up, because he just offered up to pay more. He just
$5 grand, will that do it? I was going to put it into the ounce.
$5 you will have everybody on Bass Track.
He'll still make Zane do the car wash. He's not doing the car wash.
I'll be up there at the scales, checking mine, getting me a weight to see exactly how much they are. But now that's the only reason I'm not normally that close, and I'm I'm not as good I used to be able to really judge a fish back when I used to fish a lot, like ponds and stuff like that. I get within 3 or 4 ounces, but now it's just like, I don't catch enough of them, I guess. That might be it.
Oh, come on now.
Leaderboard is kind of holding steady. Scott Martin did cut his deficit down by just a little bit there. Now he's only 3 pounds, just under 4 pounds back. Unofficially, Laker Howell, second place, and Kyle Austin trying to win this thing, trying to stay on top of the way he started today. First place, 83 pounds, 11 ounces. He is back in the area for check-in, so no worries there. Laker Howell, we assume, still en route, and Scott Martin is probably making his way or there already as well. So we will see how it unwinds when it all wraps up in just a moment. St. Croix Bassmaster Open at Santee Lakes, presented by 7, has been sponsored by Ranger Boats, by Rapala, and by Yamaha. I'll say a special thanks also to folks at Clarendon County, South Carolina. Man, they do a great job. They have a tremendous resource here. It's just Santee Cooper Complex is out of sight, almost unbelievable sometimes. Let's take a look at what we have seen today, starting with second place to start the day, Ronnie McCoy.
Yeah, Tommy, he started game plan just a pound back from the lead. South Carolina native to Santee. You had 2 local guys at the top. He was in Moultrie, dedicating his time to that offshore eelgrass. Really long, big, vast area where the depth changes. It takes a couple hundred yards for it to change just a foot. So Ronnie said, I'm not quite sure where I'm going to land at, but I'm hoping I find them along the way. Never really did. The wind was probably piping into his area. He comes back up to Marion and doesn't get much going in the cypress trees, but spinnerbait pays off, 6-pounder late in the day, just to show something for a great week here at Santee.
Got something to bring to the weigh-in, moved up a position. Hey, can't have a great day, have a good finish. That was the way it went today for Ronnie McCoy. Hats off to him for making the top 10. For sure. Matt Adams did not have the day he wanted, but he sure had the tournament he wanted. Wound up in the top 10 again.
And he's in it to win it when it comes to the Bassmaster EQ points race. All 9, and this is his second top 10 of the year. Had a top 10 at Okeechobee. We got to see him on Fox Sports 1 there. Same thing here. Had a 5.5-pounder to start. He was also down in Moultrie for a little while, and so one of those deals where for most in Moultrie today, it just didn't pay off. There was one angler who really did, and we'll see him in just a couple minutes.
Kentucky's Matt Messer got a big one for us early on today.
You know, I said Moultrie's the hero or zero place, you know, and it finally, I don't know if the fish kind of quit moving up as much or if the wind had a major factor to them, but as you can tell, it definitely blew in on him here, and I think that probably hurt their fishing areas.
Had been using a lipless crankbait, a little bit of a chatterbait I think as well, but that lipless over the eelgrass and the hydrilla, there was a little bit of a depression on this big portion of it, and it's been key for him, but he knew today with the wind, he might have to switch up. That 710 was a big payoff this morning, but not quite the full limit that he needed, just like Parker Guy.
So George's Parker Guy said, hey, it's just a matter of time before one of those big females picks up my lure and I'd bring it in, and so he did. Later on in the day, probably a little later than he would like to.
One of those guys that if you've kept up with the Strike King Bassmaster College series, Emmanuel College, you'll know the name Parker Guy, and it'll be a name you need to keep an eye on. We go through, he signed up for a division of the Opens, getting his feet wet, and it's a good way with a top 10.
Talk about Chad Grigsby. Spent some time on the Bassmaster Elite Series back in 2015, 2016, and looking to make his way back. And didn't get the start he wanted today, but made some adjustments.
Yeah, I think that he was one actually who kind of got thrown for a loop. You know those preconceived notions, Tommy, where you know your fish are going to bite, or you know you're protected from the weather and you're not worried about a bad day of weather. He thought he was going to be all right. I'm not far from the ramp. I'm in an area I should be fine. Actually, the wind was kind of hitting his area pretty strong. Had to make an adjustment, but boy, did he. Using that jackhammer all day long, the chatterbait, that's been key for him. And this 6.5, 6'10", was a huge bite for him to keep him in the top 5, and this is going to be a great points event for him as we hit a third of the way through the season.
Yeah, certainly a event he would
I think
love to have.
he was probably fishing shallower out of most all of our guys, so the wind affected him more than anybody.
And we got to keep an eye on him because we'll have a couple in his neck of the woods later this year.
Even before the season started, we knew we'd be keeping our eyes on this guy, Dakota Ebert. Such an impressive record coming up here. Young angler from Brooklyn, Texas.
What a special talent. The last few years made a couple $100,000, had some financial flexibility and said, you know what? I could, work where I am and fish where I am and not be necessarily as happy or joyful. I want to make the Bassmaster Classic. I want to have a shot at the Bassmaster Elite Series. So he signs up for the Opens and gets in. Last one to really get in for all 9. He signed up way late and has been showing out second in the points race.
Scott Martin started this Division I action in the Opens with a record-setting performance down at his home waters, Lake Okeechobee. I guess he said, why don't I just win all of them in Division I? That's obviously been his mission this week.
This is what gets Scott Martin maybe out of his perceived funk on the Bassmaster Elite Series, because we expected far greater results there. He has not gotten a big blue trophy yet, but he's gotten an Opens trophy this year, his first B.A.S.S. victory. For Scott Martin, this is another great momentum. And like we said, Tommy, 6 days of fishing, 3 at Okeechobee, 3 at Santee Cooper, probably the almost 25 to 30 pounds on average for those 6 days.
Dang, that's awesome.
God just has a way of getting around him. When he's in a good tournament, I mean, he is around him all day long.
We eradicate them.
Been utilizing his perspective mode for his live scope, catching some bedding fish that you can't see. It's gotten a little dirtier water. The water clarity isn't great in some areas. A lot of pressured fish as well, so maybe he's targeting some beds that are a little deeper, a little off the bank than others. He's been able to catch a couple big ones doing that today. Same way he won at Okeechobee.
Our first time to be in the boat with Laker Hal, and I tell you what, the personification of youth and enthusiasm. That is what this young man is. Plus he can fish, plus he has a great pedigree in the sport.
He was fired up all day. You could tell he enjoyed all his day. He caught them really well too. That makes a big difference when you're catching them like that. But he's pumped up, wanting to get back to the Classic, and he wants Dad to be riding in his boat.
He does. That's
Dad
the
with the
thing.
flag. Dad holding the flag, not him.
He's already ridden in the boat around with the Classic trophy, but it wasn't his Classic trophy. And so for this 21, he also said, I love my dad, but it'd be super cool to carve out my spot in the sport like we've seen other sons do in their father's footsteps. Be able to say, look at me, I'm doing my thing, and I'm doing it well.
So would it be bad luck if he already touched the Classic trophy?
Only if you believe in luck.
Okay.
Only if you believe in luck. I believe in skill. I believe in
Okay.
skill. He's the one guy out of the 4 or 5 that tried Moultrie today and had all their eggs in that basket that it actually paid off for him. The hatchery region of Moultrie really, really protected from that southeast wind today.
Yeah, it would kind of been neat if we didn't have a shortened day and seen how it would have turned out. Like we said, they made the right call. Hank and them had to make the call to do what's best for the anglers and our camera guys and just everybody in general. So, that's how it normally goes. You make a call, and then the weather doesn't turn out as bad as it
and you
said
don't
was.
make the call, and then
and then we have issues. So it's better to be safe than sorry. That's what we always say. So hats off to them for anybody that has to make that type of decision. And they caught them pretty dang good for a shortened day.
Laker Howell currently in second place as we head toward weigh-in time, and Kyle Austin started the day with the lead here. Kyle Austin was just a couple of spots out of qualifying through the EQs last year in 2023.
Some of that. Look at that spinnerbait.
Man, 12th place in the Opens last year, barely missing the Elite Series, feeling a little discouraged at the end of the year, not having a limit on your final day of competition, and that kind of prohibits you from making your dreams come true. Tough, but if he was on the Elite Series, he may not have the motivation here at Santee that he does this year. Coming into it, it's hard to win as a local, but we've seen 2 others use their knowledge to win this year on the Opens on their home lake. Kyle Austin, it's not done yet. He hasn't won. It's not official. No. But boy, what a performance he has put on for 3 days of fishing.
How about that one, number 2?
I think we had any century belts if this is Elite Series right there right now.
The reason Santee Cooper is the 3rd most century clubs of all lakes that we've been to in Bassmaster history, right behind Fork and Falcon. Right. Not too bad a company.
Well, wasn't Falcon pretty much everybody in the top 100 got
yeah, exactly.
that one year? That
I
first
think
year
we need to do this, Tommy. We need to get like a mini belt. If you break 80 pounds in an open, we're just going to say it's the Open's equivalent. 75 would be on pace, but 80, yeah, you're well
mini
on
belt,
pace.
or just like a wristband or a tie tack or something
a necklace.
like that.
Maybe get you a necklace.
He'll make the record book, 5th with 31.8 on day 2. That's 5th all time in the Opens, and is 80 pounds.
Century Club anklet.
83 today.
Century Club anklet.
Is 2nd.
Kyle Austin. I tell you what, Kyle Austin throughout the day, he didn't like the conditions, but he was positive, had a lot of confidence all day long. He had no idea. He knew he had some big competition chasing him down. So right now, let's catch up with Kyle Austin as he comes into the check-in back at the John Land facility.
Man, I don't think you could have rode it any better. I think today was as perfect as it can get for the conditions we were dealt with. If I don't win, then somebody really deserves it. I got a pretty good bag. I think we got enough to get the job done. I'm not sure, but it was definitely a day I won't forget if win or not. So I'm just glad it's on Santee Cooper, not nowhere else. So we had a blast. Hopefully we got it done. We'll see.
You know, he is shaking in his shoes right now. I mean,
it's nervous making time.
Oh, the anxiety, it's something.
In 33 events, he's cashed $56,000. He could almost get that with this win today.
Cool to see a young guy have some adversity, some stumbling block moments, stays perseverant, able to maybe win at home in front of his friends and family. Nowhere else you'd rather win your first event. Nowhere 100%. Else.
Kyle Austin looking for all the world like he's got this one in the bag. Again, it's not official until the weigh-in is done, and the weigh-in, of course, is coming up next right here. Laker Howell, Scott Martin, his 2 closest pursuers. Congrats to all of our 10 out there today. You had to work very hard each and every one of these open events to get there. The weigh-in starts, I guess you could say right now, and in that Yeti hot seat, feeling the heat, breathing hard, we could tell just a few seconds ago.
Laboring.
Is Kyle Austin. So congratulations to him. A tentative congratulations, and before it gets made official. I want to thank so much our very special analyst, Luke Palmer, here today. Luke, great job. So many insights we got from you. You've been there, you've done it, you've gotten it done here, and now you get to see someone else get it done. And we can't thank you enough, and good luck at the Classic.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you guys having me here, and see you all at the Classic.
You bet. We will see you there. That's where we'll see you all as well. The Classic coming up in 13 days. It starts on the Grand Lake of the Cherokees, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Get ready now for the weigh-in.